All right, I think that's enough trolling.
Okay. All
And
right.
we're back.
We are back. All it took was the off button to be on for the show to go forward.
So every once in a while, Eagle and I have this conversation of like, when do we stop working for FPF? And we always say, well, at some point, somebody as insightful and intelligent as Peace will come by, and somebody will come and take Eagle's place who has
My spot too.
Usurp our control, so to speak.
control, like somebody like Eagle who's got some technical ability and who understands sort of creative content as well. And all I have to say to that is, not yet, bitches. Iggy, you're terrible. How'd you mute the entire show?
That was awesome.
We worked for two full hours. We were paid.
You worked an hour 45. I worked 2:30.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I left it during the picks.
Yeah.
So nobody got to see it because nobody in their right mind watched an entire mute episode. But during picks of the week, my car was here and I was going to the Batman movie.
Yes, right.
And so I had to leave the show. And I was leaving in such a hurry that I couldn't unplug my chargers because I was worried about unplugging the show. So my laptop charger.
Turns out, and it wouldn't have fucking mattered.
It wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered.
My favorite though was getting messages the next day like, "Hey, the show's not on Spotify," and I'm like, "Trust me, you don't want me to upload this."
It would have been fun though, right?
I'm
Because
curious to see how many minutes we would have gotten.
I think probably like a minute 90. Sorry,
Like
90
total
sec-
combined. Like how many minutes total would have been listened to?
Oh, maybe a couple of minutes. People would maybe fast forward it, thinking, okay, maybe it was a glitch, and by minute 5, minute 10, we're back on.
It would have been a good way to scam for
I'm gonna
400
check
minutes.
our analytics actually on our channel just to see where we're at for that one, as it's fun. While I do this, you guys want to give like a quick TLDW on the last show? Like, what did you guys actually talk about?
I don't remember.
Eagle, the second the lights go off, I don't
forget.
remember what
Yeah,
we
yeah.
said.
People ask me, hey, you picked against me. I'm like, and you are who again? That's how it
Well,
is.
so let's peel back the curtain. While we're doing the show, we're doing a million things. We're trying to keep it fresh. So like, we're trying to prepare jokes. We're trying to prepare content as we go. So, we don't remember the specifics.
No.
It's why we contradict each other ourselves, rather,
Yeah.
week after week after week. We talked about flag football. We actually had a lot of really insightful commentary on the women's league for once because we got some info from Francois Delorier. Hopefully, we'll get that.
Look at that. Look at
Look
that
at Spike.
Look at that spike going down and down and down.
71% of viewers are still watching it around this 30-second mark, which is typical. So yes, right when the music ends, that's when they were like, "Wait a minute."
Seems odd.
So the fact that we were just above 0% shows that we did continue to have 1 or 2 people listening to the show.
But that's our draw, Mo.
I know.
That's our people listen to 1 minute and 27 seconds of silence because of how much they love us.
Yes, of course. All right, let's dive into it since we're back live on air.
We're back.
We're back.
Yay!
Excellent. Let's dive into it Div 1, Div 2 as we are now through 3 weeks of the season and now the triumphant return of Daniel Lazara, who will be playing for Gryffindor and had to sit out the first 3 weeks of the season. They'll be fully loaded here. So the return of Dan Lazara, who did not play in the Fall Cup piece, has not played since September when they won the spring season over Braves.
Mm-hmm.
So are we liking this as a Matthew Stafford Super Bowl run return or Carson Wentz versus the Jaguars in Week 17 of the NFL season?
Well, Week 17 of the NFL season seems like 100 years ago.
I
What
know.
happened? Is the Jags won the game
Jags won and Carson
bounced
Wentz
the
looked
Colts.
like
Yeah, I remember now.
Yes.
And that sent him to Washington.
Yes.
All right, got it. I'm up to date. Well, so look, any team is instantly improved by adding Dan Lazara to the team, right? And the team was built to have him on the team. I like the collection of talent. I think that the roster's small, so I worry if there's like somebody who's missing in terms of availability or someone who's injured. It's actually bigger than I thought, but they only have so far 3 players that have played 2 games.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see where the actual roster is. The names themselves are impressive, right? Like Isaiah Allard, AJ Gomes, Jaden, and Teddy Fournette. That's cool. It's cool to see that you have a lot of established talent in FPF. I'm just curious to see who the full-time pieces are.
So here's the fun question. Their
Yes.
next game is against Fouag-Moissac this upcoming Sunday, technically March 13th.
One thing that happened last week that
But isn't the drop date coming March 12th?
March
though?
12th is.
Oh, it's March 12th. Oh, I thought it was
yeah.
the 14th.
No,
Okay.
no,
So-
no, it got pushed up by 2 days.
Woo, one day.
So everyone's gonna lay out. I made this apology last week, but it was inaudible. I mentioned in the first episode that from 2 weeks ago that Flagmore Sack had never won a championship. They're the reigning winter champions from 2019. 2019 is an entire pandemic ago. Guys, we're going to get stuff wrong sometimes. I'm sorry. The worst part, Eagle, is I remember you and I exclaimed and how happy we were with like Flagmore Sack finally getting over the hump, beating the E-Boys. But here's the thing. I'm gonna claim instead that what happened is Mandela effect. And D-Boys retroactively won the championship. Sorry, Flagmore Sack, because it can't be that I'm wrong. Therefore, Mandela effect.
Then again, it was a 3-hour show, and we were basically like huffing on air by the end of it.
By ourselves in the first week.
We
Yeah.
were on fumes. So when we look at this, and by the way, Quasi Gordon, Maul, and Jared Taylor were there last week, but did not have the uniform number, so did not get the game played for. So they are on the
But are they
roster.
on the team full time?
I think they are. I believe they are. So we look at the games that's left from there. So they're in an 0-2 hole. They have 8 games left.
Quick shout out, by the way. Stephen Harpersad played his first Division 1 game.
Yeah, he asked me, how do I do it? I go, listen, Steve, man, it's a lot faster.
Yeah.
So like Div 3, Div 4.
But like
where
20 for 29, 215. Like,
there was
I
some
know he threw
throws
2
that
picks, but that's not bad.
Yeah, there's some throws that he wish he had that he could have completed, but he was kind of gun shy. So look, they're 0-2, so they're in a 2-game hole now with 8 to go. Their schedule isn't as tough. I mean, Flagmore Sack is going to be a tough out no matter what, but they got skills back-to-back weeks, which they can easily make up those two wins right there.
Oh, and they have a double header in week 8. Braves at 6 o'clock, and then Flagmore Sack at
right. And then they got the All-Stars the week before on April 3rd, right? So look, if they're going to make their run now, guys, and I think Dan Lazara and seeing him warm up and playing on the sidelines at St. Leo and stuff, he's chomping at the bit. I think he's ready to go. They could get themselves a 3-game winning streak, and I can't wait to see them play Flagmore Sack on Sunday in Lachine and what they can do with that team, because Flagmore Sack looks pretty lethal, and they show that they can be very destructive with what they have on offense and on defense with both talents playing very well.
So, am I crazy to think that even despite this start, Gryffindor should make the playoffs anyway? Because the top 4 teams are Braves, All-Stars, Flagmore Sack, and Gryffindor. Like, how many wins do you think Got Skills will leave the season with?
Well, they're the type of team that will pull off a win when you don't expect it, right? They've done it before.
But how many total wins do you think? The 3 max?
I can give them 4.
Because they have a crossover against KGP, who I think are about the same level of Got Skills.
Yeah.
I think both are lower tier Division 1 teams.
Yeah.
They have a whole lot of Flagmore Sack All-Stars and Braves. They got All-Stars twice. They got back-to-back games against Gryffindor. I don't know.
Look, if they get swept by Gryffindor on the back-to-back games.
No, swept, not Mandela effect.
Yeah, exactly.
So the word was never swept, it's swept.
Swept. If they get swept by Gryffindor in the back-to-back games, then it's gonna be tough with 5 to go at that point. Because
at that point, Gryffindor almost clinched there.
yeah,
they win both the games.
They can etch their name into the 5th,
because
4th spot.
it's as if they won 3 games because they have the head-to-head
Right.
now.
I have a more fun question for this
Give me.
team.
Go for it.
Why do you think they selected Gryffindor as their Hogwarts house?
I think in retaliation to Mo Khan. Because every name they've gone with has been with my last name.
So, but
involved.
which house would you be then?
I don't know.
House Khan is clear, but I mean that's not as
Not a
clever.
house.
Yeah.
No.
That's just his house.
Yeah.
Did you guys do that in school, where it's like your professor puts you in like a Hogwarts house?
I predate Harry Potter in high school,
Yeah, we
so
don't
no.
do, those
My brother,
movies.
when my brother went to the same high school, they did houses though. They
I
had
ended up
houses.
in House Slytherin in school,
That
but
makes
I
sense.
identify as a Ravenclaw. 'Cause
Eagle
I'm,
is proud of that.
more
moment.
witty than y'all.
Yeah,
Iggy and Eagle are proud of that moment right there.
absolutely.
We're off to a flyer though with the show with the mic actually working today. So props to you,
You
Eagle,
know,
for
yeah.
getting that.
Hey, at
going
least
through.
one of us belongs.
I think if
Exactly.
anything, Iggy was Hufflepuff
Clearly.
because he
Exactly.
couldn't figure out how mics work.
Okay, so B-ballers, look, Division 2 right now. Should we put them in the conversation of being the contender? Because I've seen them play a couple of times now. It's not the same team as in years past with that core group, but they still have a decent roster, guys, that they can put up points. I like their defense a lot. Very tenacious, opportunistic at times with what they do on 3rd and 4th down situations. At 2-2, I mean, they play the most games right now with 6 to go, but I had them in that conversation of being a top 5 team when it's all said and done.
They are a team with a great tackle pedigree. You know, guys like Charles Verreau and Jeremy Murphy, and and then you have sort of the FPF royalty and JD Chevalier and those guys. To me, it comes down to William Trottier and how consistently he can perform at this level. He's a career 106.3 quarterback rating, right? So it's obviously a guy who can compete. This is the first time in Div 2 though, right?
Yes, this is B-Baller's first rodeo.
The fact that he's already going 4-1 touchdowns and interceptions, and didn't turn the ball over against a Division 1 team in Gryffindor, and played.
Well, arguably that roster was not a Division 1 roster.
Fair, but it's Division 2 at least, right?
Fair, yes.
And Erjan Smezik, he played well against him. Like he had he had the interception, but like. Erjan Smezik is like KGP in that they're a borderline Division 2 team. They're likely to be Division 1 by the next time winter rolls around, right?
Yeah.
So, given all that information, I think he's talented enough that while he might not be able to compete truly as a championship at a championship caliber, I think they can be disruptive in the division.
Yeah, and look, they have a big game against #NR on Sunday in Loyola. And that could flip them into the top 5 conversation, them being on the outside looking in from the pack of elite teams that we have in Div 2. I just wonder, I mean, look, when you have a Chevalier on that roster, that helps immensely. Branko's played very well for them, I believe. Charles Verreau is a guy that I'm very fascinated by from what he brings as a football experience from both sides.
He's just a bag of beef.
Yeah,
he's an entire bag of beef.
Of course.
It's getting slapped in the face with a Ziploc full of Angus.
Right, and Sidney Lucier is also a good complement receiver to the big hitters on that roster.
What meat is he a bag of?
Are you talking about like?
Because if Verreau is a bag of beef, what bag is like when you walk into the grocery store, you have the Verreau section, and next to him is a bag of.
I don't eat meat, so I don't know.
You can get Beyond Burger beef in like.
I stopped. I tried that. There was.
Is he Beyond Plants?
Yeah.
All right. That's his new nickname is Beyond Plants.
Beyond the Plants over there. So I'll put them in the conversation, and if they do beat NR this Sunday in Loyola, then it's going to be. I just want more of these teams to be more involved. I don't want this to be a 2-horse race that we know by week 4, week 5 that hey. These 2 teams, pencil them in for Roadshow final in Brossard. So we'll see what happens. Pease, look, I know we're about 3, if not 4 weeks through, depending on what schedule you're talking
entirely
about.
3 weeks away.
Well, there's
the 4th week hasn't started yet.
Well, B-Ball has played 4 games, right?
So, that's true. That is true.
So
we have that weird sort of situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So who badly needs a win, regardless of where they are in the standings in the Div 1 and Div 2? One team in your mind, either
God Skills needs to get as many wins. Like if Dan Lazara is even this rusty, sweep that series, win the next 2 games, because that's your only hope, right?
Right.
So that's the case for Div 1. I'm to me, Outlaws and Apocalypse are the surprising 0-3 teams in Division 2. They need a win soon, but like those are the obvious ones.
I think Team Swoosh needs to win badly. Because among the 0-4 in those teams, I've covered the games twice. The teams below them will beat them. Like they will be jumped by one of these teams on the outside looking in for a playoff spot.
I think Party Crashers, their next 2 games are Outlaws and Apocalypse. Yeah. So they're facing 0-6 in their next 2 games.
But they gave All Stars a good run for their money.
Yeah, well that's and they've beaten up on All Hooks and Team Swoosh. So like they're beating the teams they should, and they played a tough game against All Stars.
Yeah.
But again, in a similar situation to God Skills, you got to get your wins now.
Right.
Because they're going to get harder to come by. And Outlaws are still adapting to the division. Apocalypse just doesn't gel yet. Those are two teams that they're 0-3. I can see them finishing 6-4.
Right.
Right? So like get them now while they're down and hope that you can help keep them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think Incredibles and like Greg Stern is the quarterback, we know, but Theo Jaya really showed more ingenuity with what he had.
That being said, the Incredibles schedule did not help them off in terms of like getting back into the groove. Like Stern hasn't played QB in at least 3 years at this point, right? and you start off by playing KGP and Urgence Medzik as your first 2
KGP
games.
reigning back-to-back champions.
Yeah.
And they know Greg Stern, right?
Yeah.
Because they've had a history from.
But
years
look
past.
at weeks 4 to 10. Those are all very winnable games.
And also having Theo Ojea playing quarterback while Greg Stern is recovering from his injury. We mentioned last week in silence that Greg Stern has injured his foot or ankle.
lower body. Yeah,
I think he knows a really good person to help him put that back into shape.
Greg Stern.
Oh, there we go. That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But the reason why I was looking at you blankly, Eagle, because I was transitioning to Theo, and I was thinking of Theo. I was like, Theo's not a physio. Theo Ojea is the benefit of having him as quarterback is you also have him on defense, and you see the impact immediately. NR only puts up 24 points.
Yeah.
Like that transforms. That takes a defense which is good and adds that one piece we were saying is that's been
Every time he
missing.
picked off the ball, NR was going, "Et tu, Brute."
All right, Div 6, we had fight night Saturday or Wednesday, I beg pardon, with FKU getting to Tete on Wednesday in St. Leo.
So let's put away the jokes for a second here, because yes, ha ha ha. We're not a beer league. If you want to go fisticuffs with someone, go ahead and do it. Just not anywhere near FPF.
So I've had a stance on this for a while, and because it's Division 6, these people might not have heard this stance. So apologies for those who have heard this before. If you are involved in any sort of violence at the field, you're a douchebag. It's always a choice to be violent.
Right.
There's not any reason for it. There's not an excuse for it. For me, if it was my decision, and it is not, the person involved in the altercation would no longer be welcome into FPF, and I would issue a temporary ban on the team because you're responsible for the people you bring to the field.
Not only that, we should be summoning police to come.
Oh yeah,
like,
because here's
in
the
theory,
thing.
yes. Yeah.
Here, not in theory, Mo. If somebody were to put hands on me on the field, there would be a restraining order because I need to go to work the next day. I can't jeopardize my income for a recreational flag football league.
Yeah, so just to give the details, so what happened was FKU got into a brawl with, what's their team name again from Hogwarts? What's it called?
Oh,
Henry Pisa Gang.
Right, from
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
90s cartoon show.
And I was on field 3, so I didn't see it. All I saw was a congregation of human bodies at center field and whatever it was. I thought it was whatever trash talking.
And
going
you
back
could
and
tell it's not an orgy, right?
forth. No, but from what I gathered, and again, we can't.
Although a
really
bunch of sweaty men.
Sweaty men, exactly. From what I gather, though, there was some serious situation. A serious situation erupted, and now the DC, the disciplinary committee, is now conversing about what will happen to FKU if they are found guilty. From the looks of it, from what's been mentioned so far, so we'll see what happens with FKU. But they're off to a flyer right now. They're 3-0, and who knows? Maybe it's one player, 2 players. I don't know, Pease. But
If you're issuing the suspension letter, is it just Dear Captain, FKU, signed FPF?
you're a false kings for being a false king.
I would imagine it's going to be something along the lines of you're no longer allowed to bring any spectators to the field and you're on super high warning. I don't know if any players were directly involved or what triggered it exactly.
Well, that's
You're on
it.
double
Yeah,
secret
There's so
probation.
many-
They're
there's
investigating,
So many
so.
moving parts here, right? So who knows what's going to happen with FKU and the other team involved? But
And in the situation, it was a player in street clothes who came onto
allegedly,
the field.
yes, from what was mentioned to me.
Whether it's sort of a friend of the team or a player in street clothes, no excuse.
No,
No excuse.
because we've had
Don't be a douche.
we've had incidents with that where people have come in fans have come onto the field and literally punched out other players on the football field. We don't accept that or condone that at FPF. So. Speaking of what we condone, though, 3-0 starts here. The most surprising 3-0 start in Div 6. P's. I got my team lined up ready to roll here. Do you have your team?
Go with
lined
yours because I found a double entry and I was sending it
Yes.
to Eagle.
That's why I was trying to buy you time.
I know. It just I wasn't expecting to transition so quickly.
Yeah, I was trying to buy you time here with what we have. So look, Tropic Thunder. I got to catch these guys in Brossard a few weeks ago, week 1, and they played Zidane. It wasn't really much of a contest here, but now they're trying to put some wins together. They beat Free Agent Squad by 3 scores. They beat Brewers by a couple of scores. Now they got Beer Knights, which is a big heavyweight fight.
Because they played three of the weaker
Saturday,
teams.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So they faced two new teams, and Brewers were a team who've struggled to find success
Yeah.
throughout their entire history. You know. But to me, when I look at this, first of all, primetime being a 3-0, happy for them. It's fairly remarkable when you look at how they're doing it. They blew out the first two opponents into Guardian Demons.
Yeah.
Demons were a team that were improving at the end of last season, and they beat Glory Boys, who I thought Glory Boys were one of the stronger teams in the division. And we of course recognize the Zerjotis name, George Zerjotis on this team along with Ari. But to me, it's just a well-built team. Carter Condon, especially on defense, is a guy I enjoy seeing. He's already got 4 interceptions.
Right.
So Jacob Souls is solid, but he hasn't had to do a lot. He's only played 2 games as a quarterback. But his his 5 touchdowns is not like eye-popping, right?
No.
But part of the reason they've been so successful is by turning over the ball that much, you're consistently putting your team in a good position in terms of field position. On top of that, you're in some cases scoring, and that they have 3 pick sixes. So like you're contributing to your team's success in a multitude of ways.
See, but the margin of error is really sharp right now in Conference B because you have 11 teams at 2-1 or better. And so there's only 2 teams left undefeated: Primetime and Tropic Thunder. So just imagine if you're Tropic Thunder, you lose this Saturday in Brossard to Beer Knights. You could, in theory, drop as low as 11 maybe if things go down to that level.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how close the parity is right now in this conference side of things, your P's, that we could see as you are confused by your headset not working properly.
My headset's not working at all. Is yours working?
Mine's working very well.
Oh, I think it just popped back in.
Oh,
all
there we
right.
go.
Sorry, you're saying more?
Yeah, this division of the conference that we have for B is going to really have some close games and teams. Look, I think 5 might be enough to get in, but if you're 6-4, you might be an 11 seed going to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so like the seeding in Division 6 almost doesn't matter because there's so little information about the teams, and like we saw, for example, like the 2 teams we mentioned, while they're playing incredibly well, they've also played against weaker teams.
Sure.
And you might have you might go 7-3 and beat up on 7 weak teams, and another team might go 5-5 and they just had a tougher road, right? We don't have a lot of that data because there's so many new teams before the season starts.
We don't have that data yet.
We're
Around
compiling-
week 5, I start crunching the schedule analyzer, and we can identify the true false kings.
Kings.
I mean, we know one of them already because they put it in their name.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
But so like if they win, do they graduate to Real King College?
I mean, I can change their name.
No. I'm
RKC,
saying
man.
should they then register as like
Perhaps.
RKC?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Perhaps for sure. I mean, but again, Division 6 more open ended because you're right. There isn't a sample size of we have a history on these guys. We know how well they are or how bad they are. We can readjust the schedule, whatever it is. But I think it's encouraging though that you have 11 teams on one side of the bracket at 2-1 or better, whereas it could be maybe one team at 3-0, but maybe that team's a false king. And maybe we'll have some jeopardy in the playoffs that we don't know what the unpredictability will be like in the playoffs for all these teams coming in.
The one thing I want to point out, Mo, V-Town Step Bros, Zidane ILF, Wild Hogs, they scored a combined 24 points this week. There's a huge disparity between sort of the haves and the have-nots in Division 6, right?
Right.
This has traditionally been the case. That's why we actually did a lot in terms of dividing Division 6 into 2 divisions, having separate playoffs that were, and like the standings were decided after the season started so that we had more information to have more fair playoff brackets. But with one Division 6, there's just too much disparity.
Yeah.
At every turn, the lowest division FPF has had this issue because there are teams that are just learning and they sort of turn the switch their second or third season in. You have teams that just continuously struggle and takes them longer. And then you have brand new teams who don't know anything, and then also you might just face a team of CJEP and university players.
Yeah.
So it's the hardest thing to manage.
So shifting over now to Div 3 and what we have lined up for Div 3. Le Gros Coq take out Bearskins. Does that perhaps open up the conversation in that side of the division piece that we could have more jeopardy with Le Gros Coq taking out that Bearskin team that we think will be going deep in the playoffs?
So Le Gros Coq are just they're for some teams a matchup nightmare. And I think this is kind of what it was. They're all incredibly quick and fast, and Dom Lefort can create a lot of mismatches with his feet. He buys a lot of time. He can run. He can throw on the run. And defensively, they break on the ball really well.
Right.
So you see here Neil Ettinson struggling, barely completing double-digit passes, throwing 2 interceptions. And then on the other side, Dom Lefort, he runs for 36 yards, but he probably ran for another 70 behind line of scrimmage.
Yeah, going east to west, for that matter.
So, in a sense, yes. They got their hands on the ball. Vinny Galano, Jordan Lard knocking on a lot of passes. But I just think that this is the kind of team that Le Gros Coq has a chance to win. Like, they'll win, like, say, 40% of the time against the Bearskins, whereas other teams, they just simply won't have a chance.
They're matchup dependent, though.
Absolutely. And, look, Kevin Libman did get 4 sacks because of all the movement he does behind the
I
line
think
of
he's
scrimmage.
at 7 now.
He was also ran on 4 times for 36 yards.
That's what I'm saying. Like Libman is a decent contain rusher, but
Right.
and he'll when it completely breaks down, sure he'll pick up a sack, but he's not a type of rusher who'll shut down Lefort the entire game, and that's what you need.
Right.
You need an elite level rusher.
What's the record for sacks in a season, Eagles, if you don't mind?
in a single season,
Yeah.
we can
26,
actually check that under
something.
accolades in the record.
Because Libman, I think he's now at 7, because he had 3 the first game, 4 game number
Season.
2. So I'm just curious to know what the record is for most sacks in a season.
Carlo,
You have to go defense here, no?
check this combo box.
Oh, look at that.
I'm gonna check it on the side, and I will tell you.
Yeah, please,
what
if you
its
don't mind.
value is.
So Mongoose sit at 0-3. They got a tough schedule coming up here. They got Bearskins and Thor's Hammer coming up.
The record for a single season is
Yes.
29 sacks by Zachary Alberts-Gill, followed by Simon Laporte at 27 and Gino Di Petro, Malcolm Archer at 25, Kirouac, Felix Daou, and Andrew Knopp, Marc-Antoine Vallée at 24.
They're almost all Division 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Just because there's more sacks.
Kirouac got it in 3.
Yeah.
Vallée
That's
got
impressive,
it
by
in
the way.
Division C, but all the other ones were like Division 6, 6D.
Remember when Kirouac was fast?
No.
He lost a lot of weight, Kirouac.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he did. So Libman might have a chance though, right? If he averages about 3 sacks per game, he's at 7, I think, through the 2 games I've score capped. And if that's the case now, he might have a chance at the record. Okay, so look, we look at Mongoose and where they are, and they're off to a slow start. This is a team that's an old school team back in Div 3. I beg your pardon. 0-3. They got Thor's Hammer coming up along with Bearskins. Peas. I feel like if they lose these 2 games, they're in a serious hole moving forward.
I think we need to impose an Encanto ruling on Mongoose. We don't talk about Mongoose. They broke my heart years ago in the finals, so we may have to not talk about Bruno.
Yeah,
when it
didn't you
comes
not
to
come to the post game meets?
No, I didn't. I
Yeah,
left immediately.
you
I don't even think I said bye to you guys.
No, you did not. No, you did not.
But yeah, no, that's definitely a tough stretch of games.
This feels like it's always the same story with the all hooks, Mongoose, whatever variation of the team it is, in that they do a lot, but not enough to win a game every time, right? Like, it's either like they have a lead and they blow it, they're catching up, but they miss an extra
But not only
point
that,
or
like,
whatever it is. They
I've-
get scored on at a bad timing. Or
I've been on both sides of games against them where we won or lost,
Yeah.
and you don't know which team you're playing against before the game starts, right? They're kind of inconsistent, and they're the kind of team that lets teams hang around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But you know, if they fall to 0-5, and if you look at the playoff standings right now, 0-5, and Speedy Academy's at 1-2 right now. So in 2 weeks, if we're gonna project, maybe Speedy Academy gets their second win, POP gets their second win. 0-5, you're essentially 3 games behind the teams in 5 and 6, perhaps on the projection number with 5 to go. it'd be very hard for me to justify that they can get back into the playoff picture. So I just don't know who, if they can beat. Is it Thor's Hammer? Is it Bearskins? I don't know who they match up well against to get that W.
They're in every game, right? Like their biggest loss is against the Expendables by 10 points, and then the other ones are 1 point, 2 point losses.
Right.
So they're a couple bounces away from being 2-1.
Right.
And you're right. Like it's a brutal road ahead. I think they can get by Thor's Hammer. I think they're taking a loss this week, but Thor's Hammer to me,
they look like a bunch of Thors.
They do.
They really do. Look at that team picture.
A lot of hair. There's a lot of hair. They have Jeff Rosenblatt, who's probably one of the best passers in the division, but the team itself,
it's not that much hair.
Well, they got a lot of muscles like Thor.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know. It's not that impressive.
I don't know, Mo. I feel like
Do you even lift hammers, bro?
Yeah. By the way, Jeff Rosenblatt's 17 touchdowns away from 800 in his career.
They have sort of Anthony Brisebois and John Laristis who have a higher division experience, and then they have a lot of really talented guys who haven't played a lot of high division. So James Drysdale, Dawson Pierre is a freak, but he's just green in FPF. Marty Friedman has generally been a guy who's played more in lower divisions. Ben McMahon as well. It's not for lack of ability. It's just sort of like I think it'll take them a minute. So they may lose that game to Man. That wouldn't surprise me just because Mangoose has hung around Division 3-ish for a little bit now, right?
This also feels like a classic Rosenblatt team where the first few games it's just all chemistry building and getting on the same page, and then the rest of the season, especially the second half, it's.
They've been good, and like obviously Brisebois and Laristis in this division are going to be a nightmare for anybody. I remember a day when just having John Laristis was enough to put my teams at the top end of the standings as the top receiver, and then you add Brisebois, and again you also have this wealth of sort of undeveloped FPF talent who will at some point click, right? So I think Mangoose is catching them early enough in the season where they can sort of upset them. And if any of those three teams,
Thor's Hammer will be playing Junkyard Dogs, and that's a big.
That's a good game. That's a good game.
That could be your conference final matchup on how well.
Do they have Expendables twice? They do.
Expendables are going to be fascinating to watch with Carmen Palici at quarterback and what they do. Ryan Perry also on that roster, an older team, but we'll see what happens. So Malud, are you going to wait Peas before we anoint them anything because you want to see a bigger sample size of what they are as a football team?
So in the lower divisions, when a team returns season after season to a division, it's usually because they can't really get over that hump. But Malud have shown success in Division 3 before.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of just not quite at the level where they're ready to jump into Division 2, but they're not without talent. And the fact that they don't play every season lends itself to the fact that the ratings haven't pushed them into a higher division yet.
Yeah.
But Anthony Beauchamp-Freza has been solid, although unspectacular. But the team is kind of similar to what we discussed with the Rosenblatt team. It's a team that relies a lot on chemistry and timing and spacing. And, Vincent Morissette is the top-level talent for them, right? He's really the guy who, that's the guy who's going to cause some damage, right?
Right.
And he has been. He has 5 touchdowns already in the season. Literally a third of his targets end up in touchdowns. So that's impressive. Not a third of his catches. A third of his targets end up in touchdowns.
Right.
So that and Beauchamp-Freza has sort of the running dimension that's not super common in Division 3, although it's sort of trickling upwards as lower division quarterbacks start to make it into higher divisions. It allows them an extra dimension. So I'm not entirely convinced because they beat Mangoose by a single point in the first week. Again, that's the game that we talked about earlier, that a single bounce could have had Mangoose at 2-1. But I think when we see them up against Blessed, and even to a degree, if Lightweight has a roster,
of course they don't.
But if Simon has 5 caliber players around him, he's good enough quarterback to push Malud, just as Blessed have talent up and down. I'd like to see if they stay close against Bless and if they can actually take it to lightweight. If they leave 1-1 and play the close game against Bless, that indicates to me that they're near the top of the division.
Yeah, I think for Malud, their next couple games, touch a catch it. They got a big win over Simone's team lightweight. In fact, they won the game in the first 10 minutes. It was over after 10 minutes. But they got Blitz, lightweight, Le Gros Coq. It's an easy schedule. It's a winnable schedule for them. They do have some tricky games towards the end of the year. But I can foresee them getting 6 wins. I mean, 6-4 in the playoffs, which would be more than enough to get in. I just don't know how convincing they're going to be against a better team. So Bless is their first true service stop along the road. And can they match up with them well enough? I think from a size perspective, yes, but from an intellectual chemistry level that Bless has, because those guys.
Well, Bless is that next level where it's guys who've played together, but also the top
seasons.
End talent is insane.
Yeah,
It's low division guys who are worthy of playing in higher division,
right,
and high division guys who they can fit under the cap because you're getting a deal on James Langshaw, you're getting a deal on Will Power, you're getting a deal on a lot of their MFL talent that's developed elsewhere. So you kind of get a discount on talent, and then you can load up with
it's
Martin
a rookie
Steinberg.
deal before they
That's
get
it.
propped up at
That's
some
it.
point.
It's
So
that's the benefit of how that team is built, and that's to me what's going to be the hardest task for Malud is a team like that, whereas they have as much knowledge as Malud, but also they're more talented.
yeah, look at this. We talk about matchup dependent. If they get to that matchup dependent department here, and Blessed again is in 2 weeks, that's down the road. But that's something I'm very intrigued by because can they force Stephen Haraprasad to be second guessing himself on the football field, going from his first, second read, and maybe his fourth or fifth read at that point to get that completion? Because if you don't get Haraprasad off his rhythm, he can slice you, and he can really be surgical in how he will operate on your body in a football game.
The thing that Haraprasad does best is call plays and read them, and so you have to find ways to trick him. You have to apply pressure at the rush. You need the way you apply pressure at the rush is deny his first 2 reads. You need to be super aggressive on defense. So if they can do that, that at least gives them the chance to do so.
Well, look, to touch a catcher won't be easy for them because now they have AJ Gomes back, Isaiah Lard's there. Mallette has looked fairly well in the win over lightweight. So that game might be one of those scores where it will go beyond 35 points.
Oh yeah, it'll be a high scoring game.
But does Le Malud have the horsepower to go score for score, because they've only scored so far a high of 30, and you're going to go against a Mallet team that in that
But Malud plays so slow.
They do. But
play so slow.
Mallet went for 2-point convert every single time. And I think he had a whole bunch of them against lightweight. So if you fall down 8-0, 16-7, whatever it might be, can you trust Le Malud to come back down by maybe 2 scores to win a game?
Yeah, touch and catch it as a team. We're going to talk about them as the season goes on because they're going to be relevant the entire season. As you mentioned, Gomes being back, but also like Isaiah Lard, Marc-Andre Lapointe's a guy who's probably never got as much credit as he deserves in FPF as a two-way player.
Right.
He's played up to Div 2, right, with Rajon Smedzik, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't a liability in Division 2. And we know he can play at the Division 3 level. Nick Gomes-Rizzo is a guy they have sort of on discount because we know how good he is as well.
Yeah.
I like the way that roster is built. I think they can give Malud a tough time, but what Malud has to their favor is they'll make it a muddy track. It'll be higher scoring than they're comfortable with, but it also won't be as fast paced as Touch a Catch It wants it to be.
I did not know Simon Dagenet threw the ball 31 times against Touch a Catch It on Wednesday.
0 INTs too. He's a new man.
Well, he is getting married, right? So he's gotta be his best self.
He has to be. Oh man, that was a bad game. Anyway,
It's just that roster's different every week, man.
there's no chemistry.
Well, no, because it's his first game there, but they've had different players suit up every week.
Yeah, exactly. All right, likely to lose first. If we get the schedule up here, Eags, if you don't mind, please. The ECW or Thor's Hammer schedule. I looked at it, Peas. I don't know where the first L will come for Thor's Hammer.
Well, he's ECW first.
ECW, I think we can see it against the Expendables. But
The next 3 games are tricky.
They are tricky. I don't think they get past Junkyard Dogs, but that Expendable game could be tricky because you're talking about, again, a team that's going to slow it down. to molasses practically and take away what Jeremy White and these guys love to do, which is to sling it and wing it and use their ski hill moves on the football field.
Yeah, Junkyard Dogs proves to be a specifically difficult challenge for them because of how good their defense is. Touch it, catch it, and Easy W bet the over on that game. I actually think this is the hardest part of Easy W schedules, these 3 games. So most likely they're first to lose because they could lose as early as this week. Where Thor's Hammer, like I said, it would they have maybe a trap game coming up, and that's, you know what I mean. Like I can easily see them win that game as well, right? So Easy W, I guess, because of where they are in the schedule, I can see Easy W losing first and still ending with a better record.
Yeah. As for Thor's schedule here. Look, again, they got Junkyard Dogs, which I think could be a loss.
Yeah.
We'll make our pick.
The key is Thor's Hammer, it's similar to EZW. It's strength against strength. It's the strength of their offense against Junkyard Dogs' defense. Yeah, maybe a loss. I don't know. That's a tough game.
It's a tough game indeed, but this is going to be where, again, this could be a preview for the conference finals in early May, whenever the road show is. I don't know when that is. We still haven't figured it out. But I think
not Masters weekend for once.
No, it isn't. No, you'll be able to watch it in full.
I hope Duns is open.
It should be open
by then. Hopefully,
it should be open. In fact, you know what, Pete? You should come by the house, man, because on the satellite, man, we got like different captions of I can watch like 8 holes at once.
It's not bad. I may do that.
Yeah, I'm serious.
You may have to deal with a drunken gambling peas. I'm sure your very non-drinking gambling family would love me there. Are there 2 less likely friends, Mo?
Exactly. No, it's pretty cool on Masters Week what they do on the direct, man, with the highlights and everything.
Honestly, even like they're watching it and having a tablet open.
Yeah,
is pretty impressive.
They have a camera strict for Eamon's Corner.
Yeah,
it's like whoever's there. Like it could be like a guy walking by. Oh, there's some walking by right now. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, I think their loss could come this weekend for them. We'll find out. So Div 4A, Div 4B, Stoics. Our boy Chris Rivet. He's always poked at me because I never talk about his team ever, which I never do.
So one of the things that happens when you join the media is your team gets talked about less, but we will make fun of you more.
Yeah, and he's like, I totally forgot they won. I was like, oh yeah, you guys won. Was it spring season or was it the fall cup they won?
Fall cup.
That's not a real cup.
No, it was spring. I was on the call. with Iggy. Iggy shamed him for his hair loss. I felt really bad about that.
Oh boy, that's not nice, Iggy.
It's just we had the top-down view, right? It's unkind to all of us in FPF.
Nice. That's not nice.
It wasn't nice. But Chris took it in stride. He's a good sport.
Iggy should be suspended.
Iggy's gonna get some round cuts from his butcher this week. Riva's gonna spite him.
Yeah.
Iggy.
I hope you like Grizzle.
Yeah, Iggy's gonna be here next week for yours truly. So it'll be the 4th different combination we have.
It's gonna sound a little bit.
Guy, he's gonna get terrorized next week. Like when you just.
You need to continuously just mute him.
Yeah, when he speaks, like when he thinks he's speaking, be like, yeah, we can hear you, and see what happens.
So the score for Stoics is because I'm gonna murder somebody this season.
Yeah.
So if someone gets murdered, consider this to be my official acknowledgement of the crime. You can use this in the court case. If a scorekeeper is murdered, it's me. It's my fault. I'll take the jail time. It's worth it.
Can we call Chris Rivet and ask him who won the football game? Eeks, if you don't mind, please.
Do I have his number?
I have his number if you want.
Let me see if I have it there. But yeah, sure, no problem.
We call him up.
It's such a bizarre grouping of players. Like
There's
if
2 left-handed quarterbacks on the roster.
Well, I mean, I'm on a team with 3 left-handed players, so
I know.
It happens. But yeah, fellow Southpaw Chris Rive. Denzel Adilo is a guy who just wrecks stuff when he's there, right? Like he's just an absolute menace as a rusher. He's a great receiver. Vincent Chung, we've talked about how he's a great value play at his cap hit. Seth Galina's been missing because he's at the combine.
He's now in Mississippi, I believe.
Yeah, he's doing some rounds.
Yeah, he's going from lovely Midtown Indiana to the deep south of Mississippi.
I was texting with him and he's like, "Look, it's warmer than Montreal. I don't care. I'm just done with winter in Montreal right now."
Of course. But as you were saying before, with the roster construction.
Yeah, it's a lot of familiar names in FPF, but it's not like a team that's sort of
It's not
been
household
together.
names.
Well, it's household names in a sense, but it's like it's guys we know from different teams. Like Kevin Bustani had his own dudes for a while, and
He brought back Rayhan Starwar to the team.
oh, he played. How'd that go?
I didn't see him play. Has he gotten a stat yet, Ray Starwar?
He played a game,
Okay, well, he hasn't,
so he got a GP. That's a stat.
yeah, but he hasn't got any points, any catches yet. So anyway, Stoics, I know they have the momentum coming into the season. Can they surprise, or are they going to still be that team that will?
I
oh my
won't
God,
be-
they won.
I won't be surprised because of Chris Rive. Like that's a team that's built on the strength of the quarterback.
right.
He's really good, and he's improved. He is the best pump fake now that Doug McKernan doesn't throw as much.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me Chris Rive to cause havoc. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in another final and be on another call.
So would you rank them over Brotherhood, Takeover, or Santar?
I tried.
Brotherhood are not as good as they've been.
No, they're definitely weakened.
It's not the same Brotherhood we're used to, and true to form, they're basically a group of friends, right? So sometimes
Yeah.
they have some top end talent when they can get those friends on the team, and sometimes they can't. Takeover to me is an impressive team. Ian Enever just played his first game and was essentially perfect. He had a 77% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, and now you remove willpower from quarterback to receiver.
Yeah.
The team becomes a lot more dynamic. Willpower has played 1 game as a receiver and has 4 touchdowns. Added to that is Vincent Benjamin, Gabriel Moreau-Paquette, Dobbs is whatever. But there's other good guys on the team. There's other good guys.
Yeah.
Like Julian Wilson and Alex Joltapuf. It's a good team to start top to bottom, basically.
Yeah, I think they definitely have the depth to go far. It's a question now of the schedule, and it's not going to be easy for them because you got some tough teams. Santar is a very good team. Top season looking like they're taking shape from where they were before.
Top
Bruins
season took a loss this week, though. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and the thing is, we talk about some teams in this league. Like Bruins are again same thing. They have a good core guys who've been together for a few years now, growing and stuff. And that comes up to my next question. That when you think about after 3 games, where Big Fun and Hurley's boys and the Bruins are all at 1 win each. I don't know who it could be, but I think one of these teams can rebound and have a run of wins that gets them back into maybe a top end discussion of being a 6-7 win team.
Yeah. So Hurley and Sons, it's a lot of familiar names for older FPF.
Yeah.
A lot of them existed in the pre-Ps era.
Coach
of course.
Bird.
Who is Coach? I've never got
Tommy
that
Amaker.
reference, by the way.
Tommy Amaker.
What does that mean?
So if you don't mind,
You need to explain it for the audience.
Yeah,
Well, that's how this
so-
works. That's the
So
medium.
Joe Birds was a fictional character that they had for their old Dirty Birds team from way back in the day. And
Would he be in the winter 2013 picture by any chance?
Maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, let me try.
I remember it was before I joined the media. You guys were talking about him, and I had
Oh
no
my
idea
God,
who
I
this
hate
was.
so much.
Oh boy, it's a complete disaster. So anyway, they had a run-on joke that their coach Joe Birds was a guy that would lead them to victory, and it was a picture of Tommy Amaker, a current college basketball coach that they use as the joke during the time. So if we get Tommy Amaker, if we Google his picture up here,
Yeah, I'm
as
trying.
we are seeing the logo calling the Audible instead.
No, I'm changing division so I can try and find it here. I think it was Div 3 that they were.
I don't
There's
remember.
gotta be a better way to do this.
Yeah, this is such a-
Normally, yes, but for some reason, it's clicking the box score of the Wild Hogs game
That's
than
fine.
anything else. So I'm dealing with it.
Look, for those who don't know, Matt Bashara, Eric Bashara, Gordon Hogan, Colin Taylor, they were the
Dave Hurley,
foundations of
yeah.
a very strong sort of FPF mid-tier dynasty.
This is how terrible it was. Look how tiny these pictures are.
Yeah.
Yeah, my God, man. The guy at the bottom right, third person. Yeah, my God. Oof.
I don't know who that is.
Yes, you do.
Bottom.
2 scoops of Gentile.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you meant far right. I didn't realize
No,
you meant
bottom,
one
bottom.
from the right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Gordon Hogan is the most unassuming looking player, and
Yeah.
he can cause serious damage. Mike Knopp is giant and a disruptive rusher. You know,
he had a good game, Mike Knopp, last.
but they also have Colin Taylor, who in himself is a good rusher too, right?
Yeah,
So
they got
it's a
some
team that's
dudes.
deep. It's got a lot of talent, and I don't know if they're going to be better than the record is now.
Yeah.
They're not a top tier team in the division anymore.
No, I think they're middle of the pack that will give top teams fits.
Yeah, Bruins surprised me at 1-2.
Yeah, that's why. Like, I mean, Bruins at 1-2, they could have the recipe to make a run and end up being like 7-3 when it's all said and done.
The quarterbacks in this division are too skilled for them to play as soft as they do on defense. That's literally the only thing they need to change because, like, offensively, so 2 games and 19 points is not great, but, they put up 39 points against the Stoics.
Yeah.
So they can score. Beijing, Ouimet, and Rocco Cristiano has a lot of speed on the team. And Jocelyn Calix is a very good possession receiver coming up from Pincellos in Division 6 and 5, or Division 6 and Tier 3. There's ability to be dynamic on offense, and we know that Gab Wiseman is competent enough to use them. My issue with Bruins has always been on defense. They basically want to take away big plays and force you to execute, and that works in lower divisions because quarterbacks fail to and they lack patience.
Right.
In Division 3, we saw Nick Schaefer tear them up in the first game. And that's a great example of like how a guy who's used to playing high divisions and has a tackle pedigree and has a great arm will take what you give him every single time, and he'll tear it up. And that's what he did in that first game. So that's the thing that worries me about Bruins. I think I have more faith in Hurley and Sons than Bruins at this point for that reason.
Yeah, I know Hurley and Sons have been lacking the points for right now. I mean, they've averaged about 11 per game, I'd imagine, or a little bit less than that. 10.3, I think it is per game. What's your rule of thumb, PZ?
You guys score 5 touchdowns a game.
That's correct. They're not scoring 5 per game.
But like
They're scoring
they've had
3.
3 quarterbacks throw, 2 quarterbacks start games. I'm assuming Matt Bashara is the quarterback.
Well, that's it. I only score kept one game of theirs, and that was last Sunday when they won by a single point against Big Fun. So if they're going to make a run, they got to settle on that quarterback position moving forward. And
who was the gentleman in the picture who is no longer in the province that you mentioned? I was wondering who was the quarterback back in the day.
That gentleman right there. Yes.
But yeah, so I mean, we've seen Hogan throw, we've seen
But they
Bashara
had
throw.
Matt Bashara was quarterback before that too.
That's
so.
true. So the league has changed a lot, especially in the middle divisions.
Of course.
There's a lot more speed, a lot more talent than the last time Bashara was throwing in FPF.
Right.
So I just think it's an adjustment period. I don't think it's a talent issue. They'll be fine.
More surprised that Honey Martin's 2-1 or Finessers are 2-1.
I'm surprised. Well, I mean, I'm gonna say something contradictory. I'm surprised Honey Martin lost the game, but then again, they're false kings. So should we really be surprised?
If you talk to our boy Iggy Mime Magnets, he's going to say no, we're the real deal.
I mean, they've
Rightfully so.
never showed it. So there's that. They had a chance this week,
But they did beat Finessers by a shutout, though.
but finishes haven't been good.
No, but they got the Mapungara, though, no?
They do,
Yeah.
but so finessers, they had the one season where they were good, right? And then they've struggled generally, right?
Yeah.
As a franchise. Eagle, give me Ryan Carouf's win-loss record.
Ryan Carew?
I know wins are not.
Forget about Alexa. Eagle.
Yeah, wins are not a quarterback stat, but he's been the quarterback of that team, so it'll give us an idea of that team's success rate. Yeah, 41-58. That's its career.
It's a real Jay Cutler-like career he's got.
It's fine. I mean,
Even his picture's very Cutler-like.
it's
Yeah.
true. I can imagine him with a cigarette. But yeah, so finessers, they have all the talent in the world. They just don't win games.
No, they don't.
It's mind blowing. I've talked to the Mapingwara about it, and he doesn't even understand it himself.
It's a very confused riddle that they have going on right now, and
So I'm not surprised that they're struggling because they've struggled before
right.
in similar divisions, and it's the same guys. So why would we expect a different result?
But look at the fact that Carouf, he will average about 13 yards per pass. it's a strong indication that there's no idea of a 5-yard pass in his vocabulary.
No, there's a lot of it that's after the catch too.
He's always been a launcher though. Like,
Yeah, but my bigger issue with him is not his deep attempts. It's him firing 5-yard passes at 100 miles an hour.
well, that's something he's got to work on.
Because you need to develop touch. You don't need to fire that pass. Let your receiver do the work for you. You know, it doesn't surprise me, in a sense. But when you look at Honey Martin mode, jokes aside, if you look at the roster top to bottom, I don't see a weakness. They
No.
just like I don't even really understand how I don't. It's not that I think Beer Belly Brigade's bad, but the way the Honey Martin lost to me is shocking.
Yeah, look, I think I know we poke at Iggy because he's our good dude here at FPF. But when you look at their team right now, if we can get the roster up, if you don't mind, Eagle, for our viewers who are watching this right now with Honey Martin, please. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize it. My bad. That's finessers, though.
No.
Yeah,
What?
I'm
Yeah.
looking at finessers. Yeah,
Fuck. My bad. I
Don't
clicked
s-
them. Just stupid.
Don't swear, Eagle.
don't swear.
Eagle, what's wrong with you?
Come on, man. It's a family show.
It's my show.
Yes, because you push buttons.
Also,
Oh wait, he gave us the whole spiel, in the thread. Oh, next time you're gonna disrespect me pushing buttons, blah blah blah.
yeah, you push
Okay,
buttons.
you
Relax.
push buttons, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, I pushed this button.
No problem.
So did Iggy.
You know what? Can we do this for next week? Can you take a picture of that button and that'll be his face the entire show?
That's
Yep.
not bad.
Yep.
That's not
No
bad.
problem.
Or his background.
Yep.
The
That'll
mute.
be it.
So, you guys got to clear out. I have another apology to make. In week 1, under immense stress, I referred to Honey Martin's quarterback as David Rinaldi, a former teammate of mine.
Yeah.
It is David Rinaldi. But once again, I will claim Mandela effect. Their quarterback is not David Rinaldi, but rather David Rinaldi, a guy I played with in Division 6. He is the quarterback of Honey Martin. So, David Rinaldi, welcome to the team.
You thought your ex-teammate played with Honey Martin, realizing that it wasn't.
No, I realized they were different people. I just called them the wrong name.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Because again, when you've done radio by yourself, right?
Yeah, it's you forget names. Yeah.
You forget names because you're doing multiple things. So like
Of
now
course.
I'm usually doing that while you're talking, right?
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to, and then Eagle also couldn't help me as much because he's participating in the content. So we're 2 people doing the jobs of 3 people on the show.
So you laying blame on me because I wasn't here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's
And
what I
last
thought.
week was Iggy's fault. It's never my fault. Mandela effect.
Mandela effect indeed. Look, I will give Honey Martin their due. I think they can definitely run the table here, and with what they've done so far at 2-1, beg your pardon. The U is gonna be tough for them. It's not gonna be an easy game for them on Saturday in Lachine because the U sort of mirrors them in some sense of a rapport that they've had with their team, and they can really slow it down against Honey Martin and perhaps win it by maybe a 24-19 scoreline.
I mean, is there a longer running joke in FPF than me just crapping on the U and then them winning a championship?
But that's why they're successful. But look, Honey Martin's got them and Le Montagnard coming up the next 2 weeks.
So I think top to bottom, Honey Martin might have the best roster, but they're false kings. So there's
Yeah,
that.
That's fine.
But Montagnard are interesting that they're not the most talented team, but Marc-Antoine Vallée, sorry,
yeah.
I forgot his name momentarily, has so much knowledge and played with one of the best executing offenses in the 6 Ryans plus fast guys, 6 fast guys plus Ryan.
Yeah.
Like all those variation of teams. He's taken that knowledge and he's a good enough athlete to take advantage of that.
Right.
They're just, if I can draw a comparison to basketball, it's like the Phoenix Suns who just execute. There's nothing spectacular.
7
They just do everything well. That's what the Montagnards are. That's what they remind me of. And who was the other team they're facing?
They're playing. Honey Martin's playing Le Montagnard
Yeah.
coming up, and they got the U coming up next.
The
week.
U is similar to Honey Martin in that top to bottom there's no weakness.
Yeah.
The team is solid.
I have a weakness. They are only 7 on the roster.
The U.
Yeah, but when their 7 guys are there, there's no weaknesses on the team, right? Like they're all good. Seemingly in every variation of the team, The quarterback is successful. Their system
Evan
works.
Frank, yeah.
They're smart. Evan Frank is so different from Joe Cano, who is so different from Papich. Yet whoever's throwing in that system is always successful in their division.
Sweep the knee.
It's infuriating.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Beer Belly Brigade, they're 2-1.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah, Alex Fafard has posted some pretty good numbers.
They were
11
Div 6 a second ago.
right.
And they weren't that good in Div 6.
No, but would you put Fafard in the early clubhouse leader for quarterback of the year? 11 TDs, 1 INT. I don't know what his rush yards are right now.
If you would
Those are nice jerseys, by the way. I
yeah,
like
so
them a lot.
sick jerseys. They're basically Los Sete Amigos, right?
Yeah.
They've been a good team, not a dominating team in any division they've ever played in. And he starts now in Division 4. I'm like, all right, well, that's not something to worry about. You could have got infinity odds on Alex Fafard to win quarterback of the year in this division. But he's in the race. I think he will fade. I don't think he'll be able to keep it up the entire season.
That or he used the pandemic to really get better as a quarterback.
I mean,
because he had a pretty good fall cup.
look, so not going to lie, it helped a lot of guys, myself included, just take a second of not playing to reconsider their
So your
strengths
knee
and
doesn't
weaknesses.
explode when you walk
and-
outside.
And, it's nice to recover from injuries, and it's nice to take a moment and a breather just to think about what you do well as an FPF quarterback and
Right.
develop. He's one of these guys who've been helped. But here's the thing. Ben McMahon does so much on the ground and in the air. It of course, his rushing stats are not appearing. I refuse to believe he hasn't run this season. I have a hard time believing anybody's going to unseat him. But like the most surprising names at the top end of this for me is Timko Sanogo, who had no idea who he was before the season is.
Right.
He runs around and just rips 40 bombs. It's fun. And the thing is, he's remarkably accurate considering the strength of his arm and how poor his throwing mechanics are, because he's throwing on the run and off his back foot, and he's firing the ball more. He's just
Right.
young phenom. He's gonna rip his shoulder out of its socket at some point.
He
Won't care. Frank Hay executing, and like I just played against him. This is the best he's played in a long time. He might be one of those guys, Eagle, that took a moment to recover. He lost some weight during the pandemic. He I think reestablished his playbook.
And he'll choke at the end though.
Maybe, but dude, like I'm telling you, I just played him. I've never seen him play.
Is this a tick season or a talk season for Voodoo? That's the real question. Because it's like hit or miss. Like one season they're really good.
Which one's the good one?
Tick is the good one, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know which one it is.
No, it's actually a Windows terminology.
Oh,
Because for
I
every
know that
good
much.
release of Windows, immediately is followed
Oh,
by
I
a
see,
shit
yeah.
one, right?
Just use Windows
For-
97.
For every
This
XP, there's a Vista.
Yeah.
This is Windows 97 Frank K.
Yeah.
Was that
Start-
a good
start
one?
me up,
I'm
man.
Not a real thing.
Windows
No,
2000.
It was 95, 98, 2000 Millennium, XP,
Oh, it's not Millennium.
Vista.
I
Then you had
remember,
7, then you had 8, then you had
He's
10.
Windows 95 with Mick Jagger Start Me Up.
I remember XP being good.
XP was very good.
So he's
Yeah.
he's entered the XP of his career.
there we go.
There we go. And the other surprising one, of course, being Alexander Fafard, because I thought Benoit Lawler, Ben McMahon, David Rinaldi, I thought these guys would be at the forefront for quarterback of the year, and they've been good. They're just the other guys are just been surprising in terms of their starts.
Flipping over at Division 5A and B, as we get ready for that now. In Conference B in Division 5A, you got Longhorns, Pacellos, and Los Bandidos, who are off to not so great starts here. I saw Pacellos play, not great. But of the three teams
So
listed,
we're not breaking for the hour, so I can't urinate.
not.
no, we keep on going.
Where am I supposed to urinate?
Oh,
This is
go
such
ahead.
a terrible idea. No, I'll wait.
No, you go.
I'll hold it. I'm professional. I'll just complain about it continuously.
Oh,
throughout the
you
show.
can go if you want.
If your cup's empty,
Yeah, go for it. Here, we'll take. Okay. All right, we'll take a 2-minute break here.
No, just
I'll move my mic away, so you can hear it.
I can mute it, right? We've learned something last week.
Yeah, we can mute. All right, we'll take a 5-minute break here.
No, let's just keep going.
No.
Shaking it off is going to be an issue. I just want to get my pants.
All right, go ahead. Take your pee, please. We'll be back.
No, we're good.
We'll come back.
He can leave and we can just
But why did we
continue,
change the format? We took breaks the first week,
Because we didn't take break last week.
Yeah, that's right. We went through
but
it.
we didn't have a show last week.
You didn't know you didn't have a show
We didn't
last
have
week.
audio last week, and I had a movie to catch.
All right.
Let's move. This is so stupid.
All right, here we go. So we got Longhorns, Pacellos, Los Bandidos. do they have it in them to make a run in the season?
What division are we doing? I thought we're breaking.
5A.
5B. We're following the script here, you peas.
Yeah, but is it 5A or 5B?
We're
doing
doing
5A
5A.
first.
5A first. So Banditos, Pincellos, Longhorns have combined for 1 win and now 7 losses and 1 tie.
Pincellos are in a rough spot.
They are in a bad
they,
position.
They improved so quickly, but like there's a learning curve anytime you start a new division, right?
Right.
They expected to have Jonathan Harrod, who is incredibly fast, but he's just been so. I played with him on multiple teams.
Right.
He's been so unlucky with injuries, and so I don't know that they've replaced him fully. And the team is solid, but they don't really have any speed really. Like they're a big physical team. They're
Yeah.
not a fast team. They're also going to be exploited by the better quarterbacks, right? So they'll lose to system teams because they're not yet disciplined enough on defense. It's lessons they're going to learn, right? It's going to take them a second. But Jared Buck, for example, predictably tore them up. Like that's an easy game to pick. It's a scheduled loss for Pincellos.
He didn't tear them up. He took their soul.
Yeah,
And I
and then
scored
tore the
against them.
soul up.
Yeah, and took that soul of the soul.
Yeah, and now he has a new friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Jared Buck is a soul finder.
Yeah, I just Vince Romano as a quarterback, he's lost that confidence that he had when he won that championship. Was it last year? Last summer? No.
This past summer.
Yeah. So
They're the reigning summer champions.
So you can make an argument, and I know, Pease, we talked about this, that Pincellos didn't win that game, but Ravens lost that game.
No, I was actually.
And
I called
Pincellos did enough to
I
win,
called
don't
that
get me
game 'cause
wrong, but they also didn't
Vince
have an
Romano
opponent.
himself impressed me a ton that game in terms of his poise, his play calling. But you're right that it's not like he had to go score for score. Right? So
Versus now, you're up against the gun against a lot of these teams, right? Like if teams are going to score 5-6 times a game, are you going to be able to keep up? Do you
what's
have that
interesting
offensive
is
pressure?
what's interesting is Ravens were this caliber of team, right? They're at least a Div 5 team. I've argued on the show, I don't know if it was a show where we had audio or not, but I argued that they shouldn't even be in Div 5. They should be Div 4 team. And
yeah,
they beat them in the final in Div 6. So I mean,
it's sort of like the NC State
they're
when
not they're not far is my point.
no.
Like I know we went back and forth with them and like, if you don't get the show by now, you're not going to get the show.
No, you don't get it.
But the thing is that we like they're not far away, right? They're an improving team, but it's not there yet. That's all it is. It might take a season.
They
or
still
two.
got some gaps though, and,
Yeah.
and they still
They
have
need
that
speed.
hothead mentality that has to kind of curb itself
Yeah.
down.
What's
Just
the
chill.
story with Longhorns?
Well, that's it, right? I mean, you look at them
Old.
now, and what's happened with this
It's
team?
5A, Pease.
They're so
Look at this roster. This roster's good.
It's a good.
This
it's a good
roster's
35
really
plus
good.
team.
Is it?
For 5A, yes.
Is it?
Yes,
It's good
it
for
is.
35 plus.
I'm worried about Chris Rosen and Jim Calathris on this team.
Why?
And not even worried. No,
Well-
not like I'm saying. Those are the only two guys I even have to think about.
Oh, okay.
Like Dave Allen is throwing. He's not even snapping. They don't have John Moody throwing. Kevin Kusai is a very good baker.
Yeah, but to put up
He did make some nice
33
make-
points
this
in
was-
3 games with this roster in 5A, like I understand the speed factor isn't there. Obviously, like the defense I can justify, but you've scored 5 times in 3 games,
And they got the Ravens
with
coming
this
up.
roster.
But-
You just throw the
but
ball to
who-
Chris Rosen. He'll just carry you to wins.
But that's
Straight
what
up.
that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, but there's only 5 in 3 games. That doesn't make any sense. Like
Yeah.
there's so many more people
They
you could
lost
be
to
giving the
Goofy
ball to
Goobers,
here.
Dude. They lost to Goofy Goobers, man. They got shut out by the Goofy Goobers.
Goofy Goobers are not bad, man.
No, but
They're not bad at all. Like,
no, this is not the Jared Taylor Goofy Goobers from.
but
years
like
ago.
if you just put Max Bura on Rosen shouldn't get a target.
No, and they got Ravens coming up, and that's not gonna be easy, man. We're looking at.
Yeah,
a
I'm
loss.
looking at this, dude. You're way off base. Goofy Goobers are by far a better team than Longhorns. They're a different division as far as I'm concerned.
I hope so. By the way, they do play the Pinchellas though in 2 weeks.
So in your mind, what matchups do they win when like Goofy Goobers have Max Bura, Kevin Smuda? I'm assuming Kobe Bura has some athleticism if his brother is that athletic,
Yeah, you
and
will, so.
Matt Litwin, like they're good. They're a legitimately like title contender in 5A.
I always think about the Jared Taylor.
Drive the
Goofy
field with
Goobers.
all hooks.
Yeah, well, he was their initial quarterback.
Yeah, he was. I saw a few of the guys on Sunday. I'm like, oh man, yeah, I forgot what you guys, man. Anyway, but like for Longhorns though, I maybe it's Los Banditos, but them too, they've had a tough ride getting on track.
Los Banditos, though, the talent is there. We've seen it. The top end, of course, in Vincent Benjamin and Loic Savoie-Seguin. Julian Wilson also is a guy who can do damage.
Yeah.
Like, again, if you're drafting players, right? How far do you go before you take a player from Longhorns? Before, like, to me, the first 3 picks are Banditos.
Yeah,
I go Vincent Benjamin first overall, Loic Savoie-Seguin, Julian Wilson, maybe Francois Desrochers over Dave Allen.
yeah, those 3
So
guys.
4 guys.
Yeah,
Carl Janelle, and like Adam Rosen is close.
but Banditos, I saw the game against the Reeds, and they got crushed, and now they rebound back with a win against Longhorns, as you made the point right now. But can they put it together now finally and get some wins in a row? I don't know. I don't know if they can or not.
I mean, they have Step Bros next week. That should probably be a win.
Longhorns?
No, Banditos.
Oh, I thought we were doing Longhorns.
No, we're doing Banditos as well.
Okay.
They're also in the
Sorry.
equation.
My
as well.
mistake. I got confused.
No worries.
Banditos, I think they'll be sort of middle of the pack and they'll even out. Francis Desrochers is just not consistent as a quarterback,
Yeah.
but the team is talented. And in their last week, they got 4 turnovers. Vincent Benjamin getting 1 of them, Julian Wilson getting 2 more. Like it's the guys who are going to cause issues for you on defense, right?
Mhm.
And they're good enough that you can't avoid them all. Like there's enough talent you can't just throw away from all their best defenders
Right.
because their top 3 or 4 guys are really, really good. So I think they're gonna kind of even out. I'm more worried for Longhorns this season.
Yeah.
Like this group, they're the ones who worry me most.
They might be the old horns by the time it's all said and done here.
The long and the tooth horns.
Exactly.
It just like they want to play with their friends, and it's awesome. It just you have to. If that's the case, you need to manage
35
expectations.
plus. Metaverse. They are off to a really good start. Are they false kings, or are you thinking that they could be the real kings of their run?
Well, we'll know by week 5-ish. The level of kingdomhood,
Did you guys create your meta avatars yet?
Again,
Yeah.
the only thing I'm worried about is Terry buying my house in the metaverse. It
So that's
really
a
worries
no.
me. I'm trying to convince my wife to at least buy her own house. She's not followed up. So we've talked. I don't know if we've talked about them with or without volume. They're the opposite of Longhorns. They're young and fast.
Very fast.
Jacob Boydman is the best underused snapper in FPF. Noah Groper is ridiculous. And Jonathan Perez is nice. Like he can make plays. My question is, do they have the cap room now that the vaccine mandate's been lifted to reclaim Dondre Borden? Because if so, then this team goes from being really good to ridiculous.
And probably the team to beat.
Yeah, that gives them that one extra guy, right? Like I already think they're one of the better teams, but they're a little matchup dependent, right?
Right.
But you know what? Like, Greg Castile's on team, Corey Walowski's on team too, so they add some knowledge as well. It's a good team, man.
Yeah, I think. Look, their first 3 games, their wins have come against. I looked at it before. Goofy Goobers 1-1. Pincello's rather easy for them, and they beat Dels by a score or 2. When you think about it now, I think they can hit 8 wins. They do have that tricky game against Wooba Luba Dubs, whatever you want to call them, or WWs, whatever
You
you
have
want to call them.
no concept of any pop culture, huh?
Yeah, I know. Anyway, no, I had a good laugh with these guys. I was making fun of them on Monday with their names, so that's why they know what I was referring to. So anyway,
Right.
but this is a loaded team when you look at the overall roster composition of what they have. And you're right, though. If a guy like Corey Walowski can be that leader that he can lean on in certain situations for them to grow upon, and if it's a third down on an offense here, he knows what can happen in that situation. And look, Groper is a guy that you and I and Eagle have known for many years, who has played and has dominated the lower divisions, has been underrated at times that no one talks about enough, that he can single-handedly crush teams.
I love when sports media says underrated because we're literally the ones rating.
No, but the thing, I know. But from the perspective that
Yeah.
there's no higher teams out there saying, hey, let's go get Noah
But so,
Roper.
so, and I actually, if we can pat ourselves on the back, we've been saying for a long time, the key to upper division success at some point is go get all these athletic freaks in the low division who have no cap hit.
yeah.
Like it's not like before that you could just add whoever you want. You need to fit a cap, and we're seeing teams start to do that, right?
Right.
We talked about it in the higher division shows already, but for Metaverse and Noah Groper, the Ghost is gonna be their first challenge because the Ghost scored a paltry 32 points this week. It barely
Only.
moved on for their
Only.
by their standards, by how they're playing.
It was
that-
low.
That's low, right? And Jamal Roach is one of my favorite low division quarterbacks right now. And his ability to throw on a run, is familiar with familiarity with his players. I was gonna say familiarism, which is not a word.
That's not a word.
And like early on, he had to rely on in I think it was in spring or in fall. He had to rely heavily on Alex Noel and Gab Wiseman. We're seeing like Kenny Boutellier leading the team in touchdowns, right? So like
Yeah.
he's using all the pieces around him.
Yeah, it's going to help him. It's going to help him for sure. And look, right now, when you see how it is for Ghosts, like they got the Ravens chasing them up right now. And that side of the conference is not easy because you got the Mighty Six Balls Deep. You got those teams still in play for the 1 seed. And that comes up to my next question about Balls Deep. Do they finally have their act together, PZ, that they are not going to be the pushover as they were last spring?
Can we stop calling teams balls deep? It's not creative. It's not even funny.
But it's the
Look,
name for
Eagle.
the
Look
wears.
how many balls deep there are. And there's the
And
Z
there's been
variety.
Zeds, there's been S's.
There's the
there's
one word
been-
balls deep. You're never clever. You're never funny. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
but they're off to a good start, though. And do they finally have their act together?
I want to say no just because of the team name, but I won't do it. Let's actually look at it. They are off to a good start, no doubt. Eagle, can we see the schedules? Because I'm bringing up the roster here, but I'd like to see where they're at.
Yeah, look, they got Vulture 2.0 coming up. Ravens next 2 weeks here. So they
Beating Goofy Goobers is a big one.
yeah, that was a week 3 win for them. Yeah,
Like that's a good indication of their ability.
they got Ghost final week of the season.
Yeah, and Vultures 2.0. Vultures 2.0 are not as strong as the main core Vultures, but they're okay.
Yeah,
They're still going to be competitive. And Ravens in the following week, it's where they're gonna start to see some tests. Justin Weir developing as a quarterback. He's greatly improved. His quarterback rating has skyrocketed this season.
right.
And like they took a week 1 loss to the Reed and we're like, oh well, maybe that's just because it's a week 1 thing. Maybe the Reed are good, by the way, because we've seen them like be competitive and
They're
blow out
pick-sixing-
Banditos.
They're pick 6
yeah.
teams right now.
The thing is, I don't know if they have enough depth. Ryan Dobbs-Garnett is going to have an impact in this division. Matthew Peacock is excellent. Kridley Miko is one of the most versatile players who doesn't get any recognition. Kind of what you said about Noah Groper. We've underrated him for years.
Yes, he's
Even though he's been
underrated.
a teammate of mine.
He's the underrated of underrated players.
Yeah. They are effective enough that they can win in a multitude of ways. They can score a lot of points, and if the game gets tight, it seems as though Weir's gotten to the point where he can execute well enough to win a game where he only gets 4 scores
Right.
and get some help from the defense. It's not a perfect roster. I think it's top heavy. There's the top 3-4 positions are solid, and then there's a bit of a fall off. But again, they beat a team who I think is just really young and dynamic and quick in Goofy Goobers. But I'm curious to see the next 2 games where they face off against some speed and Vultures and Ravens, who are just a smart, systemic team.
Right. Lockdown 3-0 are the epitome of the False Kings label.
We'll know soon enough. I actually think
They ran.
I think we talked about this off, not off air, but off mic last week with no volume. Retiree is in a weird spot where he's probably too good to be throwing in Division 5A, but when like against that other tier of quarterbacks that just moved up in Division 4, he couldn't really lead an offense that can compete.
He's
Right? We
stuck-
saw that
Stuck
in the
between a
past few
rock and a hard
seasons.
place.
Yeah, so I think the thing is they're gonna do fine. I don't know if they're championship level fine, but they're gonna do fine. And then he's gonna get
So
bumped up in
question
Division 4
is- the question is,
Right? because he's on the cusp, right, of moving up into Division 4. So
here's a question though.
it's a well built roster by Lockdown in a long time though. That's
Yeah.
first time in a long time.
So the question is, will we be missing Eagle for the roadshow
Maybe
for day one?
I would say whether or not they're false kings, they are somewhat matchup dependent. Would you agree, Eagle?
Less so this time around.
Less than earlier, yeah.
Obviously I'm biased. The same problems that we've always had regarding our playbook are still here, except this team can actually execute. Versus in the past, we've always struggled with that. And I'm not gonna get into the specifics, but you know what I'm talking about, essentially.
I know more than anybody else.
So this roster helps
Yeah.
in that sense. Defense is doing really well, all things considered. A little bit of blown coverage here and there, but
Oh
But
yeah,
again,
you
like,
had a couple
so-
blown coaches yesterday.
The-
Shoot.
the-
don't. Yeah.
So the last time we saw Lockdown struggling was in a variation of what is now Div 4B, right?
That's,
and they're,
I
you know what
mean,
like
In the fall cup,
there was
tough.
there was two big problems we had. One was roster inconsistency
Mhm.
because we kind of reached the point in our lives where everyone's busy on a random night and communication is bad. So games at 10, I find out about 9 a guy's not coming, and it's like, okay, well that's great.
but I'm saying
And
like,
the other one was
but in spring, the competition in
levels.
spring from Division D is now in Division 4,
Yeah.
and Lockdown's not only Division 5 but Division 5B.
Yeah.
So kudos to you, Eagle, well built team because they qualified to be. In
Thank
Division
you, free
5B.
agents.
And the free agents are paying off, right? So, excuse me. Reese Morgan Tracy has already had an impact on the team.
right.
That's some speed that was missing, and like guys like Max Newcastle, Steven Alberico are as reliable as they come. They're not the most dynamic players; they're just solid players.
Yeah.
So they no longer have to lead the offense; they can just contribute to the offense.
Oh, by the way, so Tyree went 14 to 15. His one missed target, Eagle.
No, that's not true.
That is true.
No, that is not true because
'cause
Max Newcastle came in for that ball on the corner route.
You were there.
No, it doesn't make any sense, Mo. The one
here
incompletion
comes the
is
violin.
the interception, which was bounced off of someone's hands into the San
Here comes the
Francisco
violin.
Was it
69ers.
your hands? Because it says you have
It
a
is-
target and no catch.
Really? You want to check play-by-play and see exactly when that was? Because it was literally right here. Pass by M. Newcastle to A. D'Aquila was incomplete. You want to see the incompletion? It's going to be the interception about midway through the first half.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Eagles'
trying to cover
lack
up
of
for
catch
Yeah.
turned to be a turnover.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm getting from this.
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope. That is
Yeah. So
incorrect.
throwing to Eagles dangerous.
Exactly. Eagles toxic. Hey, by the way,
I've often thought that.
for sure. Before we go to break, Team Sexy. Have you seen this team yet or no?
I have not seen them play. Great name.
Okay, dude, these guys are characters. If we can get the roster up here. So I've seen them a couple times here.
Can't believe I just typed the name "sexy" into our team
Yeah,
list.
I'm sure. I can't believe Rob let that go through. Okay, so Team
Okay,
Sexy.
wait. Can we? I take that back. These are nice jerseys.
Yeah,
I like this. This
yeah,
is good.
they got some.
This is the equivalent of like what juicy written on the sweatpants.
Yes,
Yeah, this is the
yes.
equivalent for men right
Yeah,
here.
exactly on the chest. So this week one,
They look like a cast of a movie that would not be considered inappropriate.
perhaps yes. So week
Like it
one,
didn't age well.
no, it did not. Week one in Brossard, they all show up in NFL uniforms. Like one's wearing a Jerry Judy uniform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Problem was, everyone had pockets in their shorts.
Classic.
And the captain of the team, who was the quarterback, what's his name? Get the name. I just want to make sure I have the name properly here.
Benjamin Berbier.
Yeah,
Bear
so
Breyer.
he's like, dude, I didn't know. I go, yeah, dude, it's one of the first rules that's mentioned that no pockets allowed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they've grown since that day, and watching them play yesterday, they have a bit of swag, confidence, and arrogance on the football field. And with them now at 2-1, they got kind of reamed by Save the Horse in week one here. They're starting.
But
to
that's their
catch,
first ever game in FPL.
That's right, but they're starting to catch an eye. They started to catch my eye on what they're building up here. And the next couple of games will be tricky because replacements then Trap Stars is going to be the game that I can't wait to watch.
Trap Stars is the first.
That's going to be a real test for them.
Replacements are still struggling.
Yeah.
But so Red Dragons is a solid win. Air Force One is a serious win.
Yeah,
I thought Air Force One's gonna walk away with the division.
we all did. We all did.
So that's as impressive as it comes.
He's got this Baker Mayfield to him, the quarterback.
Bear Briar?
Bear Briar, yeah. The Bear. We'll call him the Bear now.
Yeah.
The
Be
Bear's
Bear.
got this Baker Mayfield to him. Like Oklahoma style. Not Cleveland Brown style. Like Oklahoma, I'm going to, walk around, swaggering around.
Gonna run away from the cops and get caught.
Yeah, go on, point my middle fingers at KU and stuff like that. And honestly, that's how he is. Like Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma style of play. And now with where they're at in terms of the overall standings, that look, they're one game off from a top 2 seed. Again, that speakeasy game is going to be a true test for them, and we'll know if they're going to be a real deal going towards the second half of the year.
Look, in 3 games so far, they've had 6 interceptions. 2 interceptions a game is going to put you in a position
To get at least one score.
Yeah,
At least.
like you're getting extra possessions here, so that's going to help your quote unquote rookie quarterback, right? And Berbier on his end is only
The
turned the
Bear.
ball over once.
Call him the Bear
Yeah.
now.
Bear Briar. Sorry, I keep saying Berbier because I'm
Yeah.
looking quickly and then turning to you to speak, Mo. And
The Bear. We'll call him. All right, Bishop Sycamore. They're 0-3. Our boy Tommy Rodley. Trajados, good arm, but right now
You get scared off by Latin names, huh?
I do. Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I do. Anyway, so when we look at this right now with what they've built up, how do they get back to that playoff picture, Peas, moving forward?
So they had a tough start to the season. They played the best 3 teams in the division to start, right? Like Party Mix will
And week 4 isn't any better.
No, it sucks. But at least 2.5 Kittens are not like a co-ed team yet. They're just a team with a lot of knowledge. And so Party Mix scored 40 points in them, right? So until Joey Taylor really learns the sort of the ropes in co-ed and learns the strength of the women on his team, we see in this game Elizabeth Bruce, Stephanie Bruce, and Shauna Mutuzis. I have trouble with Greek names. They combined for 5 targets, sorry, and 4 catches. So like they're not involved enough in the game plan, and what that does is it means you're basically playing with 3 receivers. You're not going to win a game that way. So Bishop Sycamore has them this week, and that can play to their advantage because Bishop Sycamore, they're playing decently well. They scored a decent amount on Party Mix and haven't really returned to form yet.
Right.
But they also then faced Easy Fun and Power Rangers. That crew of teams are going to be the top of this co-ed division.
Yeah, and we spoke about it last week with Bishop Sycamore. It's a good core. I mean, Omar Torre is a good player. Look, he was 1 for 7 on targets, 1 catch to 7 targets for a touchdown. You got Gabelis, who as I said to you last week, is an athlete coming from the Zachary Jordan Alexi.
Jordan Alexi.
Yeah, Alexi. Sorry, I lost my train of
It was
thought.
the same thing as last week, which again, nobody knows.
No, exactly. But they have pieces here, Peas.
Yeah.
But you're right. That schedule does not help. Like if they had sort of like a built-up schedule, like a Mortal Kombat, where you go with the weakest fight and then to the hardest by eventually round 20, that maybe they would kind of get better by playing the easier teams first. But this probably toughened them up a little bit here, where now when they do play the so-called bottom half of the league, they should be more equipped to win those 7 matches.
Doesn't Jessica Postampin have a university pedigree also?
I don't know. I don't.
If I'm not mistaken, she's a university level athlete.
Let me look it up here. Bo Stappen.
You don't have to say that. I can keep talking about stuff while you look
go
it
for
up.
it. Yeah, yeah.
You remember the show that we do?
Yeah.
The show that we're on. Yeah, so like the schedule lightens up a little bit. 2.5 Kittens is a game that they can win, although it won't be easy. Average and Savage is a team they absolutely can win, can beat before facing Power Rangers again. So they gotta try everything they can to win those 2 out of 3. Because they do face 2.5 Kittens twice, and while I do think they can beat them, I don't think they'll beat them twice this season. So try and get the win early if you can.
Yeah. So she plays for University of Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what she is. Actually,
They might be the most talented team in the
they have
division.
the most athletic gifted
Yeah.
team here with what they have built up. So she actually has her own ranking on the World Athletics page.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's big time.
Athlete code. Yeah, she's big time here. Like, good for her though. Anyway, so looking at this division now and what we have lined up in terms of what's left over, Frank Delorier, would you say he is the early leader for the quarterback of the year nomination?
He was in the preseason as well, right? Like, he's who we thought would be leading this division in terms of quarterback of the year, the quarterback of the year race.
Right.
Yeah,
But could that parlay to a championship for him though?
they should win the championship. Like, they're a good combination of experience in co-ed and overall talent on the team. To me, that sort of makes them dangerous in that way, right? And Francois Laurier, his system is working. I talked about a play I saw in week 2 where he threw the ball so behind his receiver on a slant where it should have gone into the defender's chest,
Yeah.
and his receiver reached back to grab it. Really impressive catch. But Party Mix to me is the best built team top to bottom. Mary-Lou Côté-Noël is excellent. Olivier Laberge,
What is a cute team
Toure.
picture? Look at this.
that is cute.
That's very
Actually.
nice.
That's how you know you're getting old in FPF, when the kids start
The
entering the
kids
team
are
pictures.
involved, yes.
Catherine Pichet also is an excellent player. So, to me, he was the leader in the clubhouse for quarterback of the year. Joey Taylor probably would be, just based on sort of his abilities and his bizarre playbook. But again, I don't think he's playing with a full set of 5 receivers yet.
No, but here's the thing about Party Mix that I want to see them, because you look at their schedule, that's the big one coming up for them.
Well, I was going to say check out the game and everything. He actually is using all his receivers. Joey
Yeah.
Taylor.
But so look at the targets for the
Yeah.
women. It's not a lot. And it's not for a lot of yardage. He's not setting them up in a position where they can, like, one of the things you can do in a co-ed is, because the men typically cover the other men, is you use your male receivers to push the coverage, and you can dump it off to your female receivers, who then have all the yards.
So look at the
upfield,
next
right?
game. That's the game right there. Party Mix against Power Rangers for Party Mix. They have more to lose, I think, than Power Rangers do.
I mean, it's a regular season game, so you have the same amount to lose.
no, but I'm saying that in terms of the momentum level, because
But I see. I don't think Party Mix. The momentum doesn't matter for them, because they knew they were the top dog coming in. So if they drop a game to Power Rangers, whatever, Power Rangers are good. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't worry me that much.
I think it sets a tone for them moving forward. I think it would set a
I
tone
disagree.
for them. That's your opinion, right? For me, if they win this game, I think it gives them even more confidence that they control
Listen,
the terms.
all I
of
have to
this
say what your opinion is.
Bleep you.
Mandela effect. Your opinion
Mandela
didn't
effect
happen.
is coming through.
You agree with me.
I agree with you, even though I don't agree with you. That's how it is, right?
Yeah.
So-
No, like, the thing is, again, so it's a week 5 game for a team expected to basically win somewhere between 8 to 10 games. So
Right.
if they take a loss here, it doesn't ultimately matter. Like, to be a team like Easy Fun, to stay atop of the rankings, knowing that either insanely talented but not quite as good as sort of as Party Mix, let's say, like,
Right.
that's a team where a mid-season loss might sort of shape their season differently.
So when this team's left, average and savage. Excuse me, dry throat here. Average and savage, sriracha hot chili sauce, and Bishop Sycamore. Who has the horsepower to kind of get themselves back into the level of prosperity?
Can I say none?
Yeah, you can.
None. But
Yeah, go for
Average
it.
and Savage is interesting. So if you can't be the top tier, be interesting. And I think they have that. Alexis Labonte is a wealth of knowledge in FPF. He's not quite been effective enough yet at quarterback. Lambert Harvey is very, very, very good. He had a stint, and I think Div 4, Div 5 a couple of years ago, where he did some real damage. Julien Prou, of course, really good as well. But Jean Gravel is a very solid receiver who's going to make a lot of plays for this team. And Rachel Gagnon, I think, she's not been effective yet. She's not on the same page with Lexi Labonte. The game that I saw against Party Mix, he missed her on one occasion, and it just seems like Alexi Labonte needs to simplify the game plan a little bit. He's calling sort of a game plan that he would have called with a team that had a little bit more firepower. He's taken a lot of deep shots, and to his credit, connected on a deep one late in the game. The game was already done by that point, but just to get sort of something positive for your team. So that was the last time we've seen them out. So I'm hoping they turn around. They did tie 2.5 Kittens, who are sort of like a mid-tier team, right?
Right.
In this division. So it shows that they can compete, which that's enough at this point. Like nobody thinks they're gonna win. So if they can make it into the playoffs and have an upset win against somebody, that's not bad. That's that's a successful season for them.
Switching now over to the tier 2 of this lovely co-ed division of ours. Fit Squad, are you into them, or are you kind of like, I'll wait and see how these guys are in weeks 4, 5, and 6, and 7? So
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with how they started. They beat Kiss My Ensign, who were one of the front runners this past week. David DeAndre had an off game. That's going to happen with him sometimes. It's just, he's a middle tier quarterback. He's a guy who's going to have great games and have weak games. He struggled. On the other hand, Véronique Dumais was good. She did enough to win the game. The defense helped her out a lot. And she got her hands on a pass defensively, as did Samuel Taillé, who intercepted a pass. And, of course, the big defensive game by Boudjem Asada with a sack, 2 interceptions, knocked down the pass as well. It made for a very difficult outing. And we see here, like, a team typically really good at using its female athletes. Erica Dubois had a single target, no catch, and that's it.
That's not good.
That's not good.
No,
That's not
it's
good.
not good at all.
And we talked last week again in the Unheard episode. Abigail Cockerton is one of the most reliable snappers I've ever thrown to. You need to target her 7 times a game. You need to find a way to target her 7 times a game. It's a guaranteed 5 or 6 yard every single time.
Right.
There's not a reason.
300s, what do we take from them? Laying a smackdown of 47 points in Team Commando. So what do we look at this whole process? Excuse me. It's really dry in here, by the way. Oh, my God. Sorry. Hold on.
Don't get choked up.
I mean, it is winter in Montreal, so
It is. Thank you. So what do we take from it as we peel off the layers of this game here with them whooping up in Team Commando?
Well, they tied Lasect last week.
I know.
Then undefeated Lasect, who had tied their first 2 games. Did they lose? I forgot.
No, they're 0-1. Sorry, they did. They're 0-1-2 now.
Yeah.
They're 0-1-2.
Wild start to the season for them. But, they beat up on Team Commando. Team Commando is a team that's going to struggle. So that's fine, because if you want to see improvement, you need to beat up on the weaker teams. You need to win the games you should win. The fact that they allowed 26 points to Team Commando shows me that they're not quite at that next level yet, because this is a team you should put away and not even have to worry about them coming back into the game, basically.
Right.
But honestly, it's really good. Georges Jean-Louis, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's a great game.
Right.
That's a great game. And it did so on only 14 completions. So it's big shots. It's going downfield. That's how you put up all those points, right? So really, really, really good game. But a lot of the targets, again, going to just Reka and Etienne Jean-Bertin. And I want to see more of the receivers get involved, because again, co-ed's such a challenging league. If you're going to use a limited part of the field, you need to use all your receivers.
Well, not only that though, you gotta get them in rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And
if they're wide open and you need them to make a play, and you haven't thrown to them all game, it's going to be tough for them to make a play.
That's it. It's sort of like a goaltender in hockey or in soccer who doesn't face a shot for like the first 18 minutes of the game, and then bam, they get scored on. So You want to get them in rhythm. And speaking of offense, though, with co-ed 2, Peace, who's got the best offense and defense at this point of the year in co-ed 2?
Let's bring it up, Eagle.
I mean, statistically, we can go take a look at the team stats. By the way, new tab here, which is kind of cool. So
Is
we
it
can
working
check-
out?
Stats is not great.
No, is it
Carlo?
working out? Is it working out, Eeks?
I mean, here you go.
The sorting is not great.
Oh, sorting's always been a bitch, but
Why?
because Carlo.
He just puts shit in order like in Excel.
Because Carlo.
So the offenses are Yin and Yang and Kiss My End Zone have probably the best overall receiving cores, but you know, Gino DeFazio is not throwing for Yin and Yang, right? So
Yeah.
the quarterback play is not the best that the team has to offer. Kiss My End Zone has, like we talked about, David DeAndre is a guy throughout his career in FBF has been good but inconsistent, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's enough in co-ed. I've been impressed by Fit Squad actually on defense because they're winning games specifically on the strength of their defense. Eagle, what can you tell us based on your advanced analytics?
Not very much at this point. I mean, also it's 3 games in, so its trends don't appear yet, as far as I understand. Now, granted, there's only 8 games in the season, so your sample size is always going to be small, and I think that's the biggest issue we have when we start looking at true analytical stats when it comes to this. Already for the ratings, you know, we know what our thresholds are for looking at what's considered significant or not. Spoiler, 3 games is not it. So, yeah.
So, La Secte has been really, really impressive so far on defense. They've not allowed more than 3 touchdowns in a game.
Right.
Right? This is a team that has.
I mean, that's the only way they're going to win games at this
I
point,
don't
right?
even know if they've won an FPF game yet.
No, they have not.
They haven't, right?
No.
So, Alison Francillon, 5 interceptions already, right? Laurier 6 sacks. So, in terms of the counting stats, they're taking the ball away. They're putting the opposing quarterback in bad position. And they also added, by the way, Jessica Bostampin.
Right.
So, they added athleticism to a team that athleticism wasn't even the issue. It was just sort of FPF knowledge.
Understanding the games.
So, you know, Raphael Beauchamp-Desbois is still struggling. Still throwing too many interceptions. But defensively, I'm very, very, very impressed. And 2 of the interceptions, by the way, for Alison Francillon, pick sixes.
Yeah, it's not gonna help. It's not gonna help at all. But I'm trying to break down these defense stats here, right? Trying to understand how these numbers work.
Poorly.
Yeah, like 3D attempt. I guess that's third down attempt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I mean, there's literally a legend at the bottom corner here that explains exactly what they are.
I am legend.
You are the legend. That's correct. That's correct.
I mean, a stat that looks kind of really bad is Team Commando. Opposing offenses on 4th down are 60% conversions against them. That's where you lose games, right?
The key in FPF is your third and
Third and fourth down. Then look at that. I mean, literally, it doesn't work that way, but 100% of plays are completed on 3rd and 4th down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to help you though. Switching now over to the women's tier 1. Let's dive into it right now.
So I wanted to shout out Francois
Yes.
Delorier. He sent a whole bunch of information about the women's division. We're learning the women's division. It's still new to FPF. We want to give it some coverage, and we want to give it accurate coverage. We're going to bring on guests in future weeks.
And it's tough, right? Because their games are they're usually centralized. Their games, like they're usually at Saint Laurent, for example, or
Yeah.
sometimes they're on Sunday afternoons.
I caught a little bit at Lachine week 2, but knowing
Also, the rules are slightly different too, right?
Yeah.
5 on 5,
Smaller
smaller
fields.
fields.
it's 4 downs to the middle, 4 downs to get a touchdown. So it's like it's the international flag rules basically. It's
Yeah.
not we actually play sort of an amalgam of sort of tackle and flag rules.
Actually, just flag in general, right? Because normally flag is either 5 on 5 or 7 on 7. 6 on 6 variations are actually quite rare.
Well, yeah, exactly. 5 on 5 is the international like standard. I know there
Yeah.
are 7 on 7 tournaments, but 5 on 5 is the international standard. There's no punts in the women's league, so basically,
You got to go for it.
if you turn the ball over, the other team just gets the ball at their own 5.
Yeah,
They don't. There's not like we have a very complex rule of where you start based on
positional
Yeah.
geography. Yeah.
QB can't run unless there's a handoff.
So we got Jonathan Taylor type of handoff.
Like
here.
GMA rules essentially.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Not really there, but
Well, GMA based their rules on
Yeah.
the international play, right?
Right.
So, so we have some information here. So as you ask me questions, hopefully I can
Sure. So
you know,
look,
provide some analysis.
so we're talking right now. I thought it was Blue Pond. I misread it right now. It's Blue Pod. Very strong team in this division and how they've been built up so far. Dynamic offense, a lot of dynamism to work with. Emmanuel Bronsard can make the throws. But the question is, though, is this a complete offense that we're looking at right now in Tier 1 of the women's division here, Peace?
Blue Pont.
Yeah.
Sorry, I made the same mistake as you.
Yeah.
Blue Pot. They look to be honestly. I've been really impressed with sort of the top two, receiver 1A kind of thing with Mathilde Sibyl and Beatrice Bouchard. Both of them putting up great yards per catch. It shows some dynamism in sort of the way that they play.
They got cutting edge.
But Emmanuel Bronsard hasn't turned the ball over
No.
through 3 games. So that's really, really impressive. Their next 2 games are the test. So they play Brutes, which are UDM,
3-0.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 3-0 right now.
But they're the UDM
Flag team.
flag team, if I'm not mistaken. I think if I'm getting this wrong, I apologize. Know that I am learning your division. So also, reach out to me. Where you can find me is at P Del Roca on Instagram, Peas Del Rees on Facebook. Those are the easiest 2 ways to reach me. Mo, you're at MoCon19. I'm saying it just because we do have an audience that just listens to and
Twitter
doesn't see the
IG,
tag.
MoCon19, there you go.
IG and Twitter, you can find Mo there. I'm looking through my notes, and I believe that they're the Brutes are the UDM team. Brutes beat Concordia last week. Concordia just won the championship in Tampa.
Yeah.
So
Hangover.
that's like you saw
was
the game of
that?
the week, right?
game of the week.
Okay, sorry.
I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
Give me the chrome. One shot, that's all that you got.
Wish you'd give me
That's
that
all that I
stuff.
know.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to mute it, but it's not letting me mute it.
Hey, just go to where the volume is.
Hit
press mute.
the volume button.
It literally won't let me click it.
We have one producer who can't
Couldn't
mute,
get this on air.
and the other one who
can mute, but
Yeah.
can't mute properly. Anyway, look, that division though, Bruce Le Bleu and Blue Pod, that's 3 teams at 3-0.
Side note, check this out. It's on our YouTube channel. We're not gonna play the whole thing there, but
No,
it's
but
a
you
nice
can see the
place.
highlights right now.
I'm shocked at Concordia only having a single win through the first 3 games.
Yeah, but is that just the overhype of Concordia then? Because we talk about, it's kind of like the Patrick Mahomes effect. Like Sarah Parker being that type of level of dominance.
So if you watch that game of the week,
Yes.
we know Sarah Parker for a long time. That was at least in my opinion, a very disappointing performance.
But she's
Just-
had a couple of those though.
Yeah, her-
and that's
her
the
game-
thing. It's been
her game
weird.
in the finals
Was-
in co-ed was
Was
tough.
lethargic.
But I don't know. She also just won a championship.
No,
in Tampa, right?
no, for
like,
sure,
so I
for
mean,
sure.
it's a big
But
deal.
that's why it's uncharacteristic to be like, who's that ball destined to?
Yeah.
Right? Like just chuck it
But
middle of
it's-
downfield.
There's
There's a
something-
safety standing there with no
But
receivers
here's the thing
nearby.
about-
You know?
There's
about-
something about the communication of the plays that doesn't seem to be working well, based on the game that we saw, where she's expecting the receivers to be in a place, or she's expecting the defense to do something,
The time is not there.
and it's not there.
No.
It's not there, and that's surprising to me for this team.
But here's the thing though, but it's sort of like,
I mean, that being said, like give credit to like the Brutes and then Les Bleus as well for taking advantage of that, right? Like it's one
Sure.
thing for having miscommunication on offense, another thing to actually capitalize for the opposing team.
right, but here's the thing about the Concordia team is that, or with Sarah Parker-led teams, is that they're sort of like the Patriots a little bit. You know, when Tom Brady was there, when they would have like a 1-2 start or 1-3. Oh, is Tom done? You know, they're gonna rebound. They're
Yeah.
gonna be fine, right?
No doubt.
But just that the surprise effect of that, we thought they would be one of the favorites to win or go clean sweep, or at least be a 1-loss team. To have 2 losses in the first 3 weeks is a little bit jarring in my books, because we thought they would be a much more refined team, as you said before, with them going to Tampa to do what they did and crush the world at their feet. That at 1-2, yeah, it is a little bit surprising in my books.
But Sandrine Gobehuo throwing for 306 yards, and Sarah Parker throwing for 298 is awesome. Like this is
Yeah.
like honestly, the execution in the women's league is impressive.
And imagine there's a bigger field. They would have had like 500
yeah,
yards each.
Yeah. It's interesting to see all these pieces on the Concordia roster though. Like Sana Ali's great. Caroline Mokin-Joubert obviously putting up the numbers she did in this game, but obviously being a very talented receiver. And Rekha, who we saw in we just talked about in co-ed as a defensive player. The team is well built all the way around. I'm just curious to see what it is that's going to change. Because I agree with you. Something's going to turn around. Maybe it's just Sarah Parker herself and her execution, because she's turning over the ball at an uncharacteristic rate
Right.
for her. We also hold her to a ridiculous standard because of how good she's been.
I mean, also, if it's 5-on-5 and your QB is one of those players, and you have 7 people with receptions, you're rotating your offense regularly,
Yeah, you
right?
have 4
But they always do.
Yeah,
It's a team that's kind of built this way, though.
Yeah.
And, like, they're all better than anyone I've played with.
True.
So, I mean, like, they're a really good team, you know? So, I think to your point, Mo, I think they will turn it around at some point. And by the way, just because we talked about Sarah Parker, she's now coaching
Champlain
St. Lambert Cavaliers.
Fleming Rose, Lauriane Beauchamp, are they too reliant on her with their 1 and 2 start?
Likely, because she's really good.
Right.
She's sort of one of the names we recognize in FPF, so definitely. Emma Rousseau is really good too, and she's tied in targets for the team, right? So I don't think they're overly reliant, but they do need her to be the big play receiver for them, and she has been. That said, you know, the losses came to Les Bleus, who we just discussed as being a really, really good team. And they played Griffins this week, who just put on an offensive display. Chloe Picard was great, putting up 275 yards. The team, top to bottom, is really good. So I haven't soured on Fleming Rose. They lost the blowout to the team we thought they would blow them out in, and they lost a game that was really close, a game they were leading going into the halftime, and Griffins just dominated the second half. Unfortunately for Adrienne Cadoret, she was unable to continue the momentum she had in the first half. They only scored 4 times, Mo. Like we said,
You got
to score 5 to pretty much guarantee yourself a victory in FPF. So I'm hoping to see that turn around at some point. But yeah, it's the game also ended on a 7-yard touchdown pass by the Griffins, right? So that's the balance of the game right there.
So at Tier 2, the Vaults, they look like the top dogs of Tier 2. From Vaudreuil, a high school team, Di Loretto and Lavigne playing very well for them.
So it's important to note the first week was all crossover games.
Yes.
For Tier 2. So the records look worse than they are.
Yes.
Because there's a huge difference between Tier 1 and Tier 2.
Of course.
Tier 1 and Tier 2.
Tier 1 and Tier 2. That's right. So what do we take from the Vaults now moving forward into the next 3 games coming up?
Vaults have been good. They're allowing too many points. The strength has been sort of the consistency of their offense. That said, the only team they played in Tier 2 was VC Cubs, and they only allowed 13 points.
The VC Cubs have their own issues right now.
Yeah, so like that's the thing is like the points that they've allowed came against Flamand Rose and Blue Poud. I'm gonna struggle with the name all season. Maybe explain to me what it's supposed to mean, like what the reference is, and that'll help me get it. Do reach out to us. Tell us what your team name's all about. It'll help us get it wrong less often. Not that we'll get it right. We'll just get it wrong less often.
Right. VC Cubs, a young team. We know who's leading the charge as a coach for them, with Tara Rakic as a coach for them. So when we look at them right now and the direction they can go with as they try to build up, not only for the indoor, but also for their outdoor flag team in the fall for Vandy College, what do we take from them moving now into the next phase of games?
The offense needs to be more methodical.
Right.
You know, you gotta aim to be towards 60% completions, and to be under 50%, like in this game against Volts. And this is a team that's you're equal. You're both tier 2 teams, right? I'm willing to let sort of. There's no way this team is going to compete against sort of the, the university talent.
No, of course not.
It's what's the equivalent, the women's equivalent of boys playing against men, ladies playing against women, like that kind of thing, where they're just not at that point in their development.
To
right?
give you the example, no disrespect to anyone, is kind of like a Quebec team, like say Laval being the best Quebec women's basketball team facing UConn.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's talent, but it's not the same level.
Yeah, it's just not the same level for sure. They got smoked by Griffins first week because again the first week was a bizarre scheduling choice to make the first week all.
No, again, because it's week 7.
Yes, that's a good point actually, Eagle. That's a good point. Maybe that one was worth the reschedule. But I thought the game against Volts would be closer. So they have them again in week 5 as a second half of a doubleheader.
Right.
So maybe they'll hold them closer the second time around. They haven't found their footing yet. I'd like that the team is attempting a lot of passes. The offense is operating a little bit in a sandbox, but they're trying to get the ball moving.
Right.
It's not just taking deep shots and having 4 and outs. There is some methodology to what they're doing, but the efficiency has to get better. Lori Willett needs to become a more efficient passer. She's completing 47% of her passes. Like I said, if getting to 60 should be your goal for the season. If you end the season at 54, 55%, you're going to start seeing someone's stacking up, right? So, especially given that they've only faced one tier 1 team, Lori Willett needs to step it up a little bit. And she's targeting her main 3 receivers a lot. And Casey Ennis Ingerman, Nikki Lemoniadis, and Emma Townsend Nassalin. They got by far the bulk of the targets. Nobody else has double digits.
Right.
Through 3 games. So the other teams, especially by second half, they see what you're doing, and they can scheme that away.
Right. All right, let's dive into it quickly here with 35 plus as we get into that, as we wrap it up here for this week's episode. All right, Peace. So, look, right now we got in Tier 1 Monster and Montreal Spitfire 3-0. Then a drop-off, Old Age Outlaws and Shenanigans 0-3. I'm surprised by Shenanigans. This is a team that has had, again, not to go before.
You're more surprised by Shenanigans than Old Age Outlaws?
Yeah, look, this is the PvP.
Old Age Outlaws have a current Division 2 quarterback who has a chance to win a quarterback of the year. Quarterback of the year in Division 3 anyway.
Right, but this is before Pizza's time. What do you call it again? BBP? What do you call it again?
Oh, Ben Lawler threw this week actually for Old Age Outlaw, so it wasn't Stephen Harper's
right.
side.
But Shenanigans, again, with their team, I know they're older in age here, but they have a good core that should be a lot better than what they are at 0-3. I don't know why they're 0-3 in terms of the overall composition. Like Brian talked through as a Jay Ully, but these are guys that had played in FPF many years ago. But
he hasn't played in a while.
No, he has no. These guys have not played a while. There's no question about that. Besides Tony Corey, who's still playing in the higher leagues.
So, but they also faced Montreal Spitfire twice and Monster once.
Yeah,
and they face Montreal Spitfire again next week. The thing is, there's not a lot of variety in the teams, as we know, in 35 plus yet.
Right.
So, given that they're going to face a lot of the same teams, but to me, I kind of want to see how that. There's 3 weeks in a row where they face Old Age Outlaws. I'm kind of curious to see how those games shake out, because it's clear that neither of these teams are going to be at the top of the table at any point. I don't think they have a legitimate chance to compete. It looks like a 2-horse race to the championship.
That sucks.
It does suck. Absolutely. I honestly, I thought I was excited for Old Age Outlaws because, I'm from New FPF. We joke around all the time from before P's era and the P's era. So I like my P's era guys. I like Stephen Harpersod. I like sort of the kinship we've started to share with other leagues and how they start playing in our league as well. So I like the flag has grown that way.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing guys like Josh Levine return to FPF and seeing guys like Jason Stevenson still playing and all of that, I thought they would be competitive, and they just haven't been really. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm curious. I'm curious to see if they can at least compete between each other, and then if either one can cause an upset in the playoffs. But I'm really doubting it.
So flipping over now to Tier 2, Pacemakers are running away. They have a 2-game lead on everyone else in the pack. Jason Rossi off to a good start, 14 TDs, 4 INTs. Is there anyone in that group of 4, that group of 3 behind Pacemakers that can catch up and maybe compete with them at all?
So if I'm not mistaken, because again we're covering an entire league with differing rules per division.
Yeah.
The Tier 2 is a draft division. It's like the Kirkland
Right.
touch draft.
Kirkland,
Sort of.
elements.
So that makes it interesting. But I think having Jason Rossi as a quarterback in Tier 2 is a pretty clear-cut advantage, wouldn't you say?
I think it is.
Like he's just really good.
Yeah.
Again, a guy who's at the very least a competent Div 3 quarterback who will be competing for quarterback of the year.
Right.
Right. So Pacemakers definitely to me look to be the strongest team. JMJ and FPF are interesting because of the amount of points they've been scoring,
Right.
but they can't stop anything.
No.
Like FPF especially. It's been a tough go of it. Jeff Rosenblatt's been solid, and OE in the game that he played has been solid. But like they allowed 50 this week to JMJ. they allowed what is it? Yeah, they've not allowed less than 30 points yet this season.
Man.
That's a lot of points
That is
all
a lot
the
of
time.
points.
You know, like
That is.
it puts so much pressure on your quarterback. I'm guessing Rosenblatt is the main quarterback, and OE filled in for that week.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts with JMJ and stuff. Like he plays for FPF. But anyway, the point is there's a lot of moving parts for the roster when it comes down to it, right?
Yeah.
Because Jeff Rosenblatt played and Craig O'Brien came in as well. So
Yeah.
it's going to be, again, it sucks and not to belittle this league, but it kind of feels like we have at least the finalists.
When there's not enough teams in division, that's going to happen. I was looking forward to seeing 35 plus East End division. They might have lured me into play Mo if it was.
I know.
I'm just not going all the way out west every week.
New Ontario.
But like that's the thing is until there's a full other 4-team division, because we have limited expectations for Tier 2 because it's going to be more of a communal league.
Yeah.
Just based on the fact that it's a draft league, right? But Tier 1, I think if we can get 8 teams, kind of like what we're seeing in women in co-ed. Like women in co-ed has exploded. I thought 35
should
plus
get
was going to
bigger.
be a faster growth than it hasn't.
No, women's I think is going to get bigger next year. I think we might hit 20.
And honestly, I give full credit to like that grassroots movement
Yeah.
because we did not enough to promote that. They took that, they brought it to us, and they made it awesome.
I think we might get 20 next year.
I hope so because
we
it's
might get 20.
the pace of play is incredible, and it's something they grew themselves. I want to see the 35 plus community start to do that themselves.
I hope. Well, the thing is, correct me if I'm wrong here, Eags, maybe you can jump in this situation again. Not to go too far here with the road show in May, but what are we doing for the finals coverage for the women's division?
We're going to do what we normally do, which is have a full production experience, live play-by-play, instant replay, streaming,
Okay,
broadcasting, all the usual stuff.
Good.
So
Will we reach a point where there's so many divisions that we're going to have 2 fields and 2 broadcast booths running
I think
concurrently?
we are.
it's very possible.
Because we're running out of time to do this on a weekend.
Yeah, this might
Yep.
be like a 3-day effect, not a 2-day effect. All right, then. That's it for us, boys.
Or I'm
and
telling you,
girls.
2 fields.
I know.
2 fields, 2 booths.
Might,
And Eagle losing his mind.
Yeah,
Yep.
going back.
We'll have Iggy produce the second
he-
booth.
I'll
he'll-
check all the config ahead of time,
he'll
and
do
all
the
you have to do
silent
is
version.
not push the buttons.
Yeah.
He'll do the silent
We'll
version.
put him in mittens so you can't touch the buttons.
Yeah.
You know, actually, this year that's actually one of my things where I
on
want to
Mitten?
teach someone else how to actually do it, so I can
Oh,
direct.
the thing I've been telling you to do for 5 years?
No.
Yes.
Yes. The problem is anyone I would teach is required to do broadcasting or camera work.
I told you to teach Chapman back in the day.
Yeah. And how'd that work out?
Well, he's
That's another
he's
story
not
for
a
another
learned
day.
person.
clearly.
All right.
Games of the week.
Oh shit! Yes.
Hold on.
Let's do it. Let's rip through them.
All right, let's go. One word answers. Let's go. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
We've already
all
done
right.
analysis. Just pick a game.
All right, so let's do this. We're gonna go Division 1 and 2. We're just gonna go down the list, guys. So we're just gonna go in the order that's already here.
Go.
So for Division 1 and 2 in Week 4, Flag Moilsac versus Terror Squad.
I thought you were just gonna
Flag
give us
Mustang.
Flagma,
Yeah,
but I'll
flag.
pick him anyway.
Hashtag NR be ballers.
NR.
NR.
Gryffindor FMS.
Gryffindor.
Outlaws
FMS.
Party
I
Crashers.
gotta make my pick.
Hurry,
Outlaws.
Mo.
Who was playing? 'Cause
Outlaws
Crashers.
Party Crashers.
Outlaws.
Braves All Stars.
Ooh, Braves.
Braves.
Team Swoosh Urgence Medic.
UM.
All Hooks Incredibles.
All the
Incredibles.
hookers.
Incredibles.
And All Hooks The Apocalypse.
The Apocalypse.
All Hugs.
Okay, let's go Division 3. We have Silent Tickler Speed Academy.
Ticklers.
Ticklers.
Silent Ticklers Past Our Prime.
TOP.
Ticklers.
Killer
Don't like it.
Bees LGC.
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 Mangoose Bearskins.
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 Easy W Expendables.
Expendables.
Easy W.
Thor's Hammer Junkyard Dogs.
Dogs.
You know what? I'm gonna pick the upset here. Give me Thor's Hammer. Oh no, wait. Thor's Hammer is the favorite. Give me Junkyard Dogs. I wanted to pick the underdog in this game.
Les Malud Touch It Catch It.
Touch a catch it.
Touch a catch.
Lightweight Blessed.
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 And
Oof.
Oompa Loompas Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Sheesh. Division 4A. The Brotherhood Les Bleus Branleurs.
LBB.
KGP Raw Big Fun.
KGP.
KGP.
Top Season Small Giants.
Small Giants.
Small Giants.
Blackouts Hurley and Sons.
Earlies.
Blackouts.
Backyard Bullies Nomads.
Bullies.
Backyard Bullies.
Takeover Sparrows Cougars.
Takeover.
Takeover.
Mongoose The Stoics.
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 And Centaur Bruins.
Centaurs.
Yeah, sometimes.
All right, let's go for B. We're actually doing this pretty efficiently, guys. Honey Martin The U.
You.
Ooh. Well, Honey Martin and False King, so the U.
Arush Triple B.
Arush.
Arush.
Ballers Golden Eagles.
Ballers. Golden Eagles, man.
Ballers.
Disappointing.
Finessers Voodoo.
Voodoo. Voodoo's good, man. Voodoo's really good.
Vultures Bandits.
Vultures.
Bandits.
Les Verchevol Hot Sauce Sports.
Can't pick it. Hot Sauce Sports by 50.
Hot sauce.
Los Locos East Side Boys.
Locos.
Los Locos.
Sphinx Mofos.
Mofos.
I'll pick Mofos over Aster Sphinx.
Team Ethnic Les Montagnards.
Montagnard.
Montagnards.
And let's go 5A. We got ourselves. Nope, that's week 5. Wubba Lubba Dubs versus Kings of the North.
Give me the dubs.
Wubba Lubba.
Mighty Six Reet.
Reet.
The Reap.
Pinchello's Backwoods Football Club.
Backwards.
Buffalo Wild Wings Streets Ahead.
B-dubs.
Streets ahead.
Vultures Balls Deep.
Vultures.
Balls deep.
Ghost Metaverse.
Ghost.
Metaverse.
Longhorns Ravens.
Ravens. Oof.
Los Bandidos Step Bros.
Step Bros.
LB.
And Goofy Goobers versus Dilfs.
Goobers.
Goobs.
All right, let's go 5B. We have ourselves Air
Song
Force
ended.
One, San Francisco 49ers.
AF1.
AF1.
Replacements, Team Sexy.
Sexy.
Trailer Park Boys, Trap Stars.
Trap Stars.
Trailer Park Boys.
Lockdown, Le Speakeasy.
Lockdown.
Lockdown.
Red Dragons, Warriors.
Red Dragons.
Dragons.
Cookers? Save the Turtles.
Turf.
Threat Level Midnight, Save a Horse.
Silver
Horse.
What Could Have Beens, Two Pfizers, and Fat Half Johnson.
What could have been?
All right, Binds and Not Mustangs.
Not Mustangs.
Uh,
Not Mustangs means yes, we pick not Mustangs.
Division 6, Prime Time, The Off Island Boys.
Prime time.
Brewers, Killer Rays.
Killer Rays.
Stormers, Zidane La Frappe.
Stormers.
Your Girlfriend's Chill for Us, The Spanish Inquisition.
TSI.
Nice. Flag Football Team, Cavalier de Rohan.
Flag football team.
Tropic Thunder, Beer Nights.
Beer Knights.
Free agent squad, Bethway Bandits.
Bandits.
Penetrators, Flamingos.
Penetrators.
Glory Boys, Demons.
Glory Boys.
Stratton Oakmont, the Step Bros.
Step Bros.
Maccabees, Toon Squad.
Twin Squad.
FKU, Dusters 2.0.
FKU.
Tout Garni, West Island Boys.
West Island Boys.
7th Rounders, Lionhearts.
Rounders.
V-Town, Team Poland.
V-Town.
Big Fat Bats, Henry Pisa Gang.
Give me the propane and propane accessories.
Wild Hogs, Thunder Buddies.
Thunder Buddies.
All right, let's go 35 plus. We got ourselves Old Age Outlaws, Monster.
Monster.
Shenanigans, Montreal Spitfire.
Spitfire.
Pacemakers, Brody Windsor.
Pacemakers.
JMJ, FPF.
FPF.
All right, Coed 1.
Such a tough one.
Power Rangers, Sriracha Hot Chili Sauce.
Power.
Easy Fun, Average and Savage.
Fun.
And 2.5 Kittens, Bishop Sycamore.
2.5 Kittens, full win.
All right, let's go Coed 2. La Secte, Kiss My End Zone.
Okay, kiss my end zone.
Fit Squad, 3 Hunas.
Fit Squad.
And Team Commando, Y&Y.
Why and why?
All right, and then lastly here, we're going to go Women's Division.
There's so many teams. My eyes are bleeding.
Flamand Rose, Concordia.
Concordia. They gotta get it right at some point.
Strangers, VC Cubs.
Cubs.
Red Nation, Volts.
Bolts.
Brutes, Bleu Pond.
Brutes. Brutes are really good.
And Les Bleus, The Rock.
Libby.
That was good, guys. That was really good.
That's how you know. It's a good show.
Good show.
You look dead.
Yeah, man.
You look like you're gonna die in your seat.
It's a long day today. Long day.
Out of all those, which one's your game of the week?
The third one.
Every one of them.
Well, no, there were the few, like, specifically, like Honey Martin, the U is going to be a good one.
a good
That's a
game.
banger.
That's a good game.
How do you remember stuff after you say it?
I know. I don't remember.
I have
what
a pretty
said.
good memory. Also, I cheat because I have all the games
Of
up,
course
right?
you do.
But also, I think Division 3, I think there was another good one. Yeah, Thor's Hammer, Junkyard Dogs. That's gonna be a
Yeah,
very
that's a
good one.
good game.
That's a solid game.
JMJ FPF. That's a good game too. In 35 plus.
So next week it's Iggy, Eagle, and Peasy. I'm not here.
Oh yeah.
I have a basketball assignment to do.
Basketball.
Yeah.
It's not even March Madness yet.
It is.
It will be. by
No,
next week.
no. By the time next show is, it hadn't started yet. Tournament starts on the 17th. Ooh,
Starts
the
on
night
Tuesday.
of.
If it's just
Uh,
starts on the Tuesday,
play-in.
actually. The playing
Yeah.
games. So you guys submit your brackets by Monday night, usually.
And mine will be busted by Tuesday.
Yeah, yours will be done. It's over. It's over. All right. So
North Texas, by the way, upset Kings.
There you go. So next week it'll be PZ, Iggs, and Eagle. It'll be the fourth different lineup we've had here. So
Few minor announcements on the administrative side. The team pictures that were taken this week, if you don't like yours, we'll probably retake it. We've got a few feedback complaints, I guess, that they were a little bit blurry or whatever it is.
Get
so we'll
over
retake
yourself.
them. Individual pictures, if we're missing them, we'll do them. So we'll catch up on any stuff
one
missing.
more thing, just on weather fronts, they're expecting a snowstorm on Saturday. That was the biggest night for FPF because of the games in Brossard and Lachine. So just keep your eyes open for any updates that might pop up from here until
Yeah, we'll be posting
Saturday.
it on our socials and
yeah,
I know-
Facebook and through an email and all that.
I don't know if we can post it on the site, so probably just the socials and
Yeah.
on through
Emails,
emails.
yeah,
So
exactly.
captains, check your emails.
Yeah, keep your eyes open.
We
for it.
very rarely cancel games, but it has happened because if it's just not safe out there, then we
Yeah,
don't want
they're
people
saying
risking
they
their
might
lives.
close highways. That's
Yeah.
how bad it is. So hopefully not, but we'll see what happens on the weekend. So be safe out there. I'll see you guys in a fortnight's time. Next week is PZ, Eagle, and I, or PZ and Eagle, whatever it is, and Iggy. Match yours, please.
Giant spiders from Asia are poised to invade the U.S. East Coast.
Yeah, Richard Eisen was really nervous about that. Good night, California.
But it's East Coast. You get the wrong coast. It's the wrong coast.
Put the place up.
put the place up. Yeah, we know